Here's one for you now. We were chatting about this morning and the news. Man flu is real, isn't it?
The only one thing I'd tell you right now.
Do we get it bad? When we get the flu, we get it.
I'm going on the defensive. I'm pushing back because the bottom line is if you're in a relationship and you're a man, you're never going to be more sick than the other person, and you're never going to be more tired than the other person. Oh, I'm tired today.
What's Caroline saying? I can't see.
She's saying give birth and then cry.
Give birth and then cry.
How was your night's sleep last night, Lee? It wasn't great. Yours wasn't great. Well, mine, I was awake all night.
Oh, yeah, all right. Right.
How are you feeling, Lee? Oh, my nose and my ears.
You know
gone. Your nose and ears? My throat's gone.
See how they do that? See, I see they. Do you know how they do that? They delete. How are you? And then
have you ever been more tired or had a worse night's sleep than your wife? I bet you know.
I have.
She'll always get one over.
I probably got my leg sore. My leg. But you know, they ask a question, right? How are you? And you think I'm grand, and you want to get into it, and they say, "Oh, terrible." Do you know what I mean? They don't want to talk about themselves. Do you find that was something?
They don't want to.
They don't want to answer. No, they ask you a question, but they want
different.
to answer that question for themselves. It's just, how are you today? Oh, I'm terrible. I got sore head and everything. I didn't really. You
I
asked
don't
me.
even take it on now. As far as Ashley's concerned, I sleep 9 hours a night, and I'm never sick, and I'm never tired.
Well, I would say Ashley
Even
would
though
never
tonight-
moan. She would never moan. She'd
No,
love to
never
moan
said
about you.
I just can never get a worse night's sleep than her, or I can never be sicker than her.
You don't be petted enough.
It's not that. It's just I go.
You poor wee thing.
Oh no.
She texting you. What'd she say?
Boo hoo.
Boo hoo. Get over it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, come on, it's 9 o'clock.
Yeah, childbirth. I agree.
I could never. I would.
Do you know what?
No.
All jokes aside,
I'd faint.
all jokes aside, we have it pretty handy.
No, we
fellas.
do.
We do.
we backtracked a good bit there,
I
didn't we?
have to now.
Only backtracked a little bit.
I have to
Boo
go
hoo.
home.
Bye.
All right, that's us cancelled. But it's
Cancelled
like a
for
joke.
what?
It's a joke.
Cancelled
from society, man. We're out.
That's it, all over.
Yeah.
What'll I do tomorrow then? Just come in, sneak in the back door.
Sneak in the back door. Get out of here.
Right, boo hoo.
All right, boo-hoo to you too. It is the 9 till noon show. It's 9 o'clock, and it's time for a news update. And we cross over to... How are you, Michaela, by the way, just before we get to the news?
Yeah, fine.
You feeling all right?
I'll not
You're
divulge
tired?
everything. No, I actually had a good night's sleep last
Did
night.
you?
Yeah.
But do you find there can be a little bit of sleep competition in the house? About who's the
Yeah.
most tired, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who wins, you or him?
Me, because I just let him. I don't.
We
really
might
listen,
be
yeah.
uncancelled now because Michaela's agreeing with us. We might be uncancelled. All
Yeah,
right, then.
maybe I'm just not that sympathetic.
Okay. All right, it is a minute past 9 now. Time for a news update, and it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The trial of Soldier F continues at Belfast Crown Court later today. The former British paratrooper is charged with 2 murders and 5 attempted murders on Bloody Sunday in Derry over 50 years ago. He's pleaded not guilty. The case will today focus on statements from 2 soldiers made following the events of Bloody Sunday. €7 million has been allocated to transform the old Letterkenny courthouse into a multifunctional education, entertainment and culture centre. The allocation to Donegal County Council is part of a €90 million funding package announced by the Minister for Housing, Local Government and Heritage, James Brown, under Thrive, the Town Centre First Heritage Revival Scheme. Plans for the iconic building include the provision of a visitor attraction, tourist information point, flexible space for exhibitions, conferences and civic, cultural and community uses, as well as a cafe and retail space. Minister Charlie McConlogue says the development of the former courthouse will be significant for Letterkenny.
It obviously has great history. It's also a building which is protected. As a result of the public consultation and a result of this €7 million funding now, we're going to see the Letterkenny Courthouse play a really important role in Letterkenny into the future, and one that's very much at the centre of education, entertainment and culture in the town and in the county. And the expectation is that the work should be able to commence on these projects by the end of next year.
TDs finally returned to Leinster House after a 2-month summer break today. The Dáil hasn't sat since July the 17th, but will resume at 2 p.m. The budget and the cost of living will dominate the agenda, while a Sinn Féin motion on special education school places will be debated this evening. This morning the Cabinet meets where the Taoiseach will update ministers on trade sanctions the European Commission could impose on Israel. A Donegal man has been commended for risking his life to rescue a child in a crash in England. Shane Doherty from Carndonagh was one of 2 men who were first on the scene of the multi-vehicle collision on the M6 at T-Bay on October the 15th last year. Katie Gillen has more.
Chief Inspector Sam Turner Cumbria Police Operational Support nominated Shane Doherty and Gavin Walsh for Chief Constable's commendation in recognition of their selfless and exceptionally brave actions following the crash which claimed the lives of 5 people. Police say the pair, with little thought to their own safety, approached a vehicle which was rapidly catching fire and rescued a young child trapped inside. CI Turner says the actions of both men showed extraordinary courage and instinctive heroism during a harrowing and distressing situation. A 7-year-old child was the sole survivor of the crash.
Weather now: overnight rain clearing and becoming largely dry but cloudy this morning with isolated showers and limited sunny spells. Highest temperatures today of 15 to 17 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
McDonald's burgers are prepared to order. And the patties are made from whole cuts of beef, sourced from farms across Ireland, with a pinch of salt and pepper, nothing else. There's not much else to say, really. That sizzle speaks louder than words. Served after 11 a.m, subject to availability.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning. 4 minutes past 9 on this Wednesday, the 17th of September 2025. You're very welcome along to another 9 till Noon Show. We're here with you for the next 3 hours. So hopefully you'll stick around and beyond, of course, as you routinely do. We've got loads lined up on the show today, but still plenty of space if you've got something that you want to talk about, an issue you want to raise, some good news you wish to pass on. 086 60 25,000, that's the WhatsApp and text number, 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000 or email comments@highlandradio.com. And had a great night last night down in the Abbey Hotel in Donegal Town for the Garda Youth Awards 2025. You'd have heard them launched on this show by Garda Grania, and we discussed them routinely throughout the course of the year, and it all led up to a wonderful night last night. And I must say, by the way, a big thanks to everyone at the Abbey Hotel who looked after us so well, and the food was absolutely delicious. But what it was all about, really, not the food, although that was a nice bonus, it was about celebrating the amazing achievements of some amazing young people who are a sample, really, of the youth in our county out there today. From every corner of the county, from Donegal Town to Tory Island and everywhere in between, we heard remarkable stories of young people who are engaging with their community, be it working to supply medical equipment, whether it's to improve road safety, whether it's risking their own safety to save another person's life, or in improving the life of older people, or encouraging intergeneration interaction. And it was just absolutely fantastic. A big round of applause to all the Gardaí involved in that process. And it was a fantastic night, and there was loads of pictures taken, and I'm sure the Gardaí will be posting them on their website at some point, and we can republish them on our social medias at some point. But it was fantastic, and I hope everyone that was there enjoyed themselves. Our own Kevin Fury was there providing music as well, and it was just a great night. And what ultimately it was about, sorry to reiterate it, it was just celebrating our amazing young people and those amongst them that do so much for other people and the community. So fantastic, well done, roll on 2026. And Supermax as well, by the way, I must say. Supermax are the sponsors of it, and they help to make sure it happens. And there was lots of great conversation, great crack, and I hope everyone, as I say there, enjoyed it, because we certainly enjoyed being a part of it. Right, let's get to some of the newspapers. We'll start with the Finn Valley Voice. 2 sisters from Donegal, Margaret and Paula Martin, who were sexually abused as children by a priest, hope that an apology from the diocese will help them move forward in their lives. The Diocese of Raphoe officially apologised to the sisters, who were victimised by former priest Con Cunningham. We encourage others who are suffering in silence to come forward and find the support you deserve, they said. And we had both Margaret and Paula on the show yesterday. And what I'm going to do later on this evening, because I think it was a very important thing that they did, and it's important that people hear it. We're going to package that and put it out as a live stream later on this evening. We had the Tyrconnell Tribune's John McAteer, who broke the story and was very important in helping their sisters get to where they are today. John McAteer was on explaining the background to the story, and then we were joined by Paula and Margaret, who outlined their journey towards the apology. So it was a very interesting piece. Not everyone can listen all of the time, so it might suit people better to watch that this evening. So I'm going to stream that out as a sort of 50-minute special on our social medias a little later on today, just in case you missed it. But it's important that it reaches as many people as is possible. On to the Nationals, the Irish Times now, and pressure is mounting on the international community to take action after a UN Commission of Inquiry announced yesterday that Israel is carrying out genocide in Gaza. So this is the UN Commission that is stating this. It's been a long time coming, perhaps too late, but an important intervention nonetheless. The inquiry's findings coincide with Israeli forces announcing a ground offensive into Gaza City, calling it a new phase of the operation. Heavy airstrikes have been widely reported in the city. Gaza is burning, Israel's defense minister Israel Katz posted on X. The IDF is striking with an iron fist at the terrorist infrastructure. We will not relent, and we will not back down until the mission is completed. So it's astonishing, really, the different takes on this. So you've got the UN Commission saying this is genocide, and yet you have the Israeli defense minister proudly stating that Gaza is burning. A humanitarian worker inside Gaza, who asked not to be named for security reasons, says mass displacement continues and there is a real sense of panic. Well, of course there is. And I can't imagine what it must be like to be in that scenario for a moment. Spinal surgery waiting lists continue to grow. This is the Irish Independent, an important story here because we were promised that no child would have to wait too long, and yet here we are. It's going in the other direction. The number of children waiting for spinal surgery continues to rise, but only 7 have been referred abroad for treatment this year. There are 135 children on the waiting list for spinal surgery, an increase from 108 at the start of the year. This is despite a legal instruction from the government to the HSE in January that all children who are waiting more than 4 months should be offered a care package in London or New York. The number waiting for more than 3 months has increased from 72 to 83 since January, and unfortunately we know all too tragically that the sooner this surgery is carried out, the better the outcomes. Political pressure on coalition leaders is increasing over a series of broken promises on the issue. The figures were provided in response to a parliamentary question submitted by Sinn Féin spokesperson on health, David Cullinan, who said the number of referrals is shockingly low. Moving on to the Irish Daily Mail now, and they have a presidential story of sorts. Presidential hopeful Catherine Connolly has claimed Social Democrats TD Owen Hayes should not be denounced for dressing in blackface, saying, "We've all said racist things." Miss Connolly is backed by the Social Democrats in her bid to become Ireland's next president, and it's going to be interesting because my understanding is Sinn Féin will decide on Saturday what their plan of action is. And I suppose there's 2 options now at this point. One, to back Catherine Connolly, which would be an incredible boost to her campaign. There's no doubt about that, and would show a unity of the left, I think, to some extent. Or to throw the hat into the ring, most likely, I suppose, Pearse Doherty at this point, and contest it themselves. I would say the money's on them backing Catherine Connolly just to give her candidacy a boost. As we head towards polling day, that would be where my money would be. But we shall see. They might choose to run someone themselves. I just don't think it would be the right thing for that party, personally speaking, at this time. Well, speaking at the Plowing Championships yesterday, Ms Connolly said Mr Hayes was apologising profusely and was clearly sorry for his actions, she remarked. He regrets what he said, and he said he learnt from it. If we go more general than that, we've all said and done things in our lives, and we've said many racist things in our past that we didn't even think were racist. But as a 22-year-old not so long ago, I mean, you know, darkening your face to pretend to be a black person, you knew it was bad at that point. But that being said, what she's saying, perhaps there is a little bit of common sense to it, but not everyone who may have done bad things in the past is earning over 100 grand, had shares in a company that was associated with Israel, and was pictured doing so, and was the head of a union at that time. So I get where she's coming from. It's quite a generous pass, I think, from her for Owen Hayes to sort of call us all racist because he was caught out. But anyway, that's her line. We've covered this, of course, but it's in the national papers today, and I think it's well worth mentioning, of course. A sister of one of the 10 people killed in the Creeslough explosion has said victims' families have been left in the dark about what caused it nearly 3 years ago. No official explanation has been given for the blast, which ripped through a service station in the Donegal village on the 7th of October 2022. Jessica Gallagher, 24, a fashion graduate, was amongst those who died, and her older sister Lisa said bereaved relatives need answers. She said, no one seems to be willing to help us to find out why our family members and our loved ones are dead. It's not just for me, for my family, it's for the entire Creeslough community. And as I say, we have carried those comments before, but because it's being widely carried in the newspaper, I thought important to mention. The Irish Daily Sun has a report from an inquest, and a married couple planned their own deaths weeks before their bodies was found, this inquest heard. They also left a recording for the family saying, we've been together in life, now we are together in sleep. Tony and Phyllis Gilbert, both 83, were found dead in their home in Kenmare, County Kerry on November 14th, 2021. An inquest in Tralee was told yesterday. The alarm was raised by their daughter-in-law, Beryl, who had arrived with their shopping and found a note pinned to the front door. The note read, all going to plan, we should be dead, and asking Gardaí to be notified. The note, which warned the finder not to go into the house, also indicated there was a key in the flower pot beside the door. And I just read that because you might remember that story, and I do remember that note and the phraseology and what have you. It's hard to imagine it's as far back as 2021, but that inquest has come to a conclusion now. And I get a sense of this finally in the Irish Daily Star, and particularly with young people, many young people who are focusing on their fitness or focusing on having a car or maybe even saving for the future, that they're drinking less. And also we're seeing more and more people now drinking 0.0 lager. Don't know the point of that because it doesn't taste really nice. I don't think alcohol tastes nice, to be honest with you. And you can also get the headaches and stuff. But anyway, listen, if that's what people are choosing to do, that's good. Reading on here, more Irish people than ever are ditching the booze for a sober, curious lifestyle, which includes going to pubs but not drinking alcohol. New research shows that Ireland is now in the top 5 countries for searches on sobriety, while sales of alcohol-free beer went up by 25% last year. A spokesperson said data from Google Search Trends has highlighted the growing interest in alcohol-free choices and sober social activities. And as I say, I think I do see more and more of that. There's no real drinkers in our house now anymore, really. They're more interested in, as I say, careers and vehicles and keeping fit. And as I say, you see more and more of it. All right, anything in there that catches your ear and you want to have a comment, let us know. 086 60 25,000, that's the WhatsApp and text number. Or give us a call at 07491 25,000. Sorry to be jumping over my words, but I genuinely had a terrible night's sleep last night. You can, of course, email comments at highlandradio.com. And that works too if you are listening to the podcast or our overnight repeat. We'd love to hear from you. And, of course, if you want to as well, it might suit you for many reasons. Maybe you're too busy. Maybe you're not fantastic at typing or spelling. We don't care about that, by the way. This is a completely inclusive and judge-free zone. But what I'm getting to is that voice notes might suit you to express your opinion or get your point across. We love your voice notes too, to WhatsApp on 086 60 25,000.
Newspapers are kindly supplied by Cosgrove Centra, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Now with the new look Mountaintop Diner.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Joining Parkrun in partnership with VHI? Rewards make all the difference when training. Tell yourself that if you go for that run, you can get a smoothie or coffee you love on the way home. For more running tips and content from VHI, search VHI blog.
Thank you for attending this meditation session for badgers who forgot to check for gas pipes before digging, without knowing how disruptive it could be, putting others at risk and doing it unknowingly for all their working life. And it could have been avoided had they just checked in the first place. Let's begin.
Always check for gas pipelines before you break ground. Visit gasnetworks.ie/dig for more information.
Discover amazing deals at Floyd's Restaurant, Ballymagori, Strabane. Enjoy a 2-course menu for £19.95 Monday to Friday, €1 for pound night Wednesday and steak night Thursday. Sunday carvery from 12:30 to 3:30. Party packages and function rooms available. Call 02871 382905 to book.
Around the Northwest with John Bresden live this Friday at Irvine Expert Electrical Letterkenny for the Big Build Weekend from 12 to 2:30. There'll be unbeatable offers across the store, expert advice and the latest home appliance innovations. It's all happening this Friday and Saturday at Irvine Expert Electrical.
Get ready, Donegal. The big Highland Bingo Party is here.
On Saturday the 29th of November, the Villa Rose Hotel, Ballybofey, transforms into the wildest Christmas party of the year.
Hosted by me, Keith Fletcher, Lee Gooch and Marty Freel on the decks.
Think festive cocktails, classic party anthems, ridiculous games of course, and mad bingo mayhem.
Loads of prizes on the night with a €1,000 top cash prize up for grabs.
You better be quick. Tickets are on sale. Grab yours on Eventbrite or check out highlandradio.com.
The big Highland Bingo Party. Over 18s.
Ha-ha! It's bingo, but not as you know it.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time now is just approaching 20 minutes past 9. Let's say good morning to David. Hi, David.
Good morning, Greg.
Thanks for messaging in. Thanks for coming on. And this focuses
No
on
problem.
Dunlow. What did you observe, David?
Well, I was in West Donegal over the weekend there. I was staying over, and we popped into Dunlow just on Monday before lunchtime, and we were just having a bit of a walk around. I mean, the town was pretty quiet, obviously, on a Monday. But having said that, I don't think the tourist season is quite over yet. You know, I see an awful lot of motorhomes still around. A lot of them, you know, French and German and so on, and a lot of foreign cars still around. But anyway, to get to the point, what I noticed was the public toilets locked up. And I thought, first of all, I thought to myself, this is, I suppose, it's something pretty trivial and not much to be getting on to Highland Radio about. But then my wife reminded me, she said there was a bus stop. There's a bus stop very, very close to the loos in Dunlow. And she said to me, she said, imagine there's somebody travelling on that bus there. Maybe they've been on the bus for a couple of hours or whatever. They get off the bus, they want to use the loo, and they come up. There's padlocks on both doors, ladies and gents. And I just thought to myself, you know, I like Dunlow. I've always loved going to Dunlow. I find it a lovely little town. And it just kind of struck me, you know, I said to myself, those loos should be open.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, as I say, it seems something fairly trivial.
Well, it's
But
not
at
really.
the end of the day, I suppose
like I
it's not
actually
trivial
think,
if you need to use the bathroom.
well, 100%, and it's not always just for the crack or convenience. Sometimes people have medical conditions that require the use of a toilet, but also what doesn't make sense, we're constantly being told that we need to extend the tourism season, that we need to widen out the shoulders of it. And I do wonder if they've been closed because, you know, the traditional tourism season is over. But you're right. I think, like, as I mentioned yesterday, I was in the Abbey Hotel for a different reason, but the restaurant and bar, really, really busy there. There's lots of people around Dunfanaghy and Downing still. They're a different type of a crowd, right? They're often without young children and what have you, but there are still people visiting, and it gives a terrible impression where you don't have the most basic of facilities, I would imagine, which is somewhere to go to the toilet.
Exactly. I mean, as I say, we ended up, my wife and myself, and we were just having a bit of a dander around the town, you know. And I mean, I needed to go to the loo, and And then I went searching. So as it turned out, I mean, I found the toilet in the brilliant Cope shopping centre in Dunlow, which I mean, I have no reason for it to be applauding them or anything, but it's an absolutely fabulous centre there in Dunlow. I'd say one of the best in the northwest. And again, went to use the loos there, but I mean, again, that's in a private, that's in a private building, if you know what I'm saying. So I just thought, but as we say, I don't think the tourist season's just over yet, because again, to reiterate what I said, I mean, I still see an awful lot of motorhomes, foreign registered motorhomes on the road. So, the tourists haven't all gone yet. And while they're here, they need to use the bathroom, same as the rest of us.
Yeah, and there was a story that we carried earlier this week too, and it was Donegal County Council conducting a review of public toilets across the county. This with the aim of developing a prioritised list of potential upgrades and improvements. The council is also seeking additional staff to assist with the provision of and maintenance of public conveniences in the county. So it is on the agenda of local authority meetings, and I believe Councillor Declan Meehan was the one who raised the issue. But I think at this point we need actions rather than words. We shouldn't need a review to question as to why public toilets are closed in areas that are still enjoying, an uplift of tourism. We shouldn't require a review for that. That's common sense stuff.
Maybe it was just a one-off, Greg. I don't know. I'm not being overly critical. Maybe it was just a one-off. Maybe if I had been there the next day, they were open or whatever. Maybe it could be due with a member of staff.
You'd have some prostate. You'd have some prostate on you to hold on to it for 24 hours.
Oh well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you wouldn't need to be hanging on for 24 hours. I know you
need it when you need it. David, you're also obviously
touring.
Go ahead.
No, as I say, it was just something. As I say, on one hand, it seems quite trivial, but I suppose on the other hand, it's not trivial. And as you say, it's a basic amenity that every single human being needs. So, if there's an issue with the toilets being closed there at various times or various days, maybe somebody could look at that. That's really all I'm saying.
No, you're right, and others are agreeing. This caller says, I was in Dunfanaghy last Monday, just after the Jazz and Blues Festival, and the toilets there were closed too. There were so many tourists around, I just couldn't understand it. And I just wonder, and we'll find out, by the way, because I could be wrong, but you just wonder if we look at the tourism season like we do lifeguards and blue flag beaches, and it's just a cut-off which doesn't take into consideration, the fact that the tourism season, thankfully, is changing a bit here.
Well, I mean, you talk about Dunfanaghy. We drove through Dunfanaghy on Sunday on our way down to West Donegal. And I don't think, I would have visited Dunfanaghy often. I live in Letterkenny here, so I would be in Dunfanaghy often. I don't think I've ever seen so many vehicles in Dunfanaghy. I mean, the place was lined with motorhomes. There's a car park there just out on the Fulcara Road, and it was full. It was jammed. There's no way that you could have parked in Dunfanaghy on Sunday with as you say, with the festival on, with the jazz festival on. The town was absolutely jammed. Mm-hmm. You would, as I say, the amount of motorhomes, the amount of cars, the amount of strange cars from different counties, from Northern Ireland, from all over the place. And I mean, as I say, the town was just absolutely.
The bottom line is David, and I've yet to be contradicted or proven wrong in relation to this. It's the same with public bins. We avoid using them or making them available because we don't have a sufficient plan for their maintenance. In other words, if you can't spend enough money to keep toilets clean all year round, we'll close them some of the years. If there's a bin overflowing in a busy part of Donegal, well, we can't empty that bin all of the time, remove the bin. We don't seem to have enough of a fund for maintenance.
Yeah, I mean, funny you should say that as well, because again, we went through Lenties. Just coming on to my next, as you can see, there's a second issue there that's troubling me as well. But again, we came through Lenties on Monday on our way, sort of around West Donegal, and again, I think the Harvest Fair had been on there and Lenties the previous few days, and. again, my wife said to me there was young people, they were out on their lunch from the local secondary school, and they were trying to dispose of their rubbish into a bin on the street. And the bin was so full, they couldn't, they were trying to put in, maybe a wrapper from a sandwich or something like that. It was actually impossible for them. And they were doing their best, in fairness, and sometimes, criticize young people and so on. But this group of people were trying to get rid of their rubbish. They weren't chucking it behind them. And it was impossible to get anything into the bins. The bins were just jammed to capacity. That's just another.
And I would say if you went there another hour or two later, there's probably people got as far as the bin and ended up leaving rubbish beside it because. But I just don't understand why we don't then.
Unfortunately, that's what happened.
Yeah, of course. Why don't we then at that point sort of say, right, there's an event on in Glenties or Dunfanaghy, and we have contracts in place whereby we can do extra pickups. Stay where you are. Donegal County Council won't spend the money on toilets or rubbish bins. Does this mean they don't care about locals or tourists? Another, no public toilets in Letterkenny Shopping Centre apart from the courtyard and pennies. Could that guy not spend a few bob in a cafe and use the toilets? Dunlow toilets have been abused by people in camper vans all summer. What? I don't understand that. The public toilets, our tax pays for these toilets. Why go and buy a coffee for a pee-pee? A caller says, I got the train from Connolly Station in Sligo Station, and because it was 6 p.m. in the evening, the toilets were also closed. There isn't even a cafe nearby where you could go to the cafe and buy a coffee and use the toilet. And another, public toilets being closed, it's a disgrace. As someone who is IBS, it's a nightmare for me going anywhere. And I'm really, I'm sorry that this person has IBS, but I really am pleased that someone messaged in. Sometimes the toilet, it's not just a need or you can't hold on. There are many, many people who are affected by bladder control issues, with bowel issues, that the access to a public toilet is the difference between whether or not they go to a place or not, whether or not they can do so happily or not anxiously. Yeah. And that's the very serious side of it, which I always get around to. Because, listen, I've been desperate now and again, but it's not a medical need that I might have. Do you know what I mean? And I can
most of us we can hang on till we get somewhere, but as you say, you take someone who has some sort of condition. It's crucial. I mean,
I've spoken to people on this show that won't go into certain towns because they don't have access to a public toilet and they don't want to face the embarrassment of having to rush into a business. They wouldn't even sometimes have time to buy the coffee to make it less of a... But David, I just want to move on to, as you mentioned, you were out and about, and this is one of those things that frustrate me, whereby there's obvious little bits of maintenance on roads that should be done as required rather than as part of some sort of a programme. And Maclay's Corner sees a lot of traffic, a lot of turning traffic, and the old hole has raised its ugly head again there.
Well, I mean, it's been there for months, Greg. I mean, it's as simple as that. It's been there for months. And, I'll kind of preface this by saying, again, going back to, this was all over the weekend while we were out and about, So as I say, we drove all the way from Letterkenny right down through Dunfanaghy, Falcarra. We stayed over in Gweedore overnight. And drove then the road right through Dunlow, Glenties, Ardra, right into Killybegs, back into Donegal town, down to Ballybuffet. I mean, brilliant road around West Donegal. The road, right through from Gweedore into Dunlow, onto Glenties, Ardra. Beautiful tarmac road, as good as you would expect to find in any country in Europe. As a top class. And then you come to Ballybuffet, and I mean, I'd say there are parts of the Moon that has a smoother surface, and that's no exaggeration. From you drive into Ballybuffet until you go right through Ballybuffet, through Stranorlar, until you get out onto the Letterkenny Road there, past the church on the Letterkenny Road. That road, I mean, horrendous is an understatement. Mm-hmm. Right down Ballybuffet Street, the bridge in Stranorlar is unbelievable. Mm-hmm. The whole of Stranorlar Street. But I mean, the real one that stands out, I mean, there is a crater, and there's no other word that you could use to describe it. there was a crater on the corner at Maclay's, and that has been there now for months. And now, I know we'll have people saying, well, that's not the county council, that's the National Roads Authority, whatever, because it's a national road. And, I get all that, and I know about red tape, and I know about, but at the end of the day, Greg, this is the main national road from east and North Donegal. If somebody's travelling to Sligo, if somebody's travelling to Galway, if somebody's travelling anywhere to the west of Ireland, this is the one and only national road that we have. And it takes us through Ballybofey and Stranorlar, sadly because no bypass was ever, which has been mooted now for years and years.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is horrendous. And I'm not saying it's not a junction that we'd be driving fast on. I get that. But I can tell you, and I'm sure, look, you've been there. You were saying you were in Donegal town last night. I'm sure you've been through that junction many times.
Yeah, of course.
The same as all the rest of us. And I mean, you would definitely do damage to your vehicle there. There is no doubt. If you hit that at any sort of speed, locals know about it.
You can make a claim on that.
You
can make a claim on it. I mean,
you can, of course.
One of these nights, someone's going to fill it with topsoil and put some daffodils in it or something and take a picture.
But it's the inconvenience. I mean, it's the inconvenience of it. Of course, you can claim, but I mean, the red tape and everything that you will have to go through. Yes. I mean, I would rather I didn't have to claim. I would rather I didn't, burst my alloy or break something in the car. Do you know what I'm saying?
Of course I do. Yeah.
I just don't know.
I always feel it always does feel like it feels like the Stranorlar municipal district, Lifford Stranorlar, has always sort of been the poor relation, I think, in terms of road funding, or at least it feels like that. It gets an awful lot of traffic from the north, through traffic as well. And, it's great to see them resurfacing at Drumkeen, for an example, which they're currently doing at the moment. And I'm sure it needs doing. But you kind of feel that things like filling that massive pothole at Maclay's Corner. Do you know what? Often after conversations like this, these things end up getting repaired. So maybe people aren't aware of it, and maybe because you've raised it today, someone will go out there and chuck a bit of tarmac
and I mean, I suppose just
slap it down with the back
lastly,
of a shovel. Go on ahead. Yeah, lastly, Dave, I have to move
that's
on.
all it needs. I mean, listen, a barrel full of tarmac. And, just before I go, I'll say one thing, and it may have been, I'm not sure if it was in Highland that I heard this recently, or I read it somewhere, that actual street, Ballybofey and Stranorlar, is not scheduled for resurfacing until 26 or maybe 27.
Okay.
Now, it may have been on your station. I'm not sure where
you can patch it, though. Patching it's fine. Listen, thanks very much, David, for all of your points. I must move on. Thank you. Take care of yourself, David. I want to stay in Maclay's Corner, though, and bring Ben in, because, Ben, you're a professional driver, and this issue at Maclay's Corner has been bothering you for some time. Yep. Ben.
Hello?
Yeah, sorry. Do you know what, Ben? I'm going to disconnect you. Stay where you are. Line 2 actually is a wee bit funky today. Caroline, I do note that Lee Gooch had some issues with it, so we'll avoid line 2 just until we can get that looked at. I'm going to take a very quick break, then I'll be back with Ben, hopefully.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
If you're aged 59 to 70, we will invite you for a free HSE bowel screening home test. Screening can help find signs of bowel cancer early, before any symptoms show, making it easier to treat.
Is your couch older than your Spotify playlist? Is your dining table wobblier than your uncle at a wedding? If so, it's time for an upgrade at Grove Furnishings, Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny, the largest furniture store in the Northwest. From stylish sofas to elegant beds, from floor covering to occasional pieces, we've got you covered. And we offer free delivery within 80 kilometres. Grove Furnishings. Seriously good furniture.
Host your next corporate meeting or event at Century Complex in Letterkenny. With 4 high-tech function rooms, we've got the perfect space for every group size and need. Professional, flexible and fully equipped, all under one roof. Call Century Complex on 07491 21976 today for more information or to make a booking.
Stay warm for less with Homeland September mega deals. There's Flowgas £104 propane gas now only €99. 20 kg home fire Supertherm smokeless coal, buy 3 bags and get a hardwood log net bag free. Cozy home fire lighters, buy 2 for €6. All this and more until September 21st. In store and online at homeland.ie.
Drivers know what trouble sounds like.
No. Okay. Forward. Oh no. Oh, please no. Oh no.
That's why they get cover from Ireland's soundest car insurance provider, SuperValue Insurance.
Thanks for calling us, Finn. And don't beat yourself up about it. Sure, I'm driving 10 years and parallel parking still baffles me.
Get a quote from SuperValue Car Insurance to get 10% off online. And we'll even throw in €40 in vouchers. T's and C's apply. Vouchers include two €20 or €40 spend. This car insurance is underwritten by AXA Insurance DAC. SuperValue Financial Services DAC, trading as SuperValue Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Don't delay when you get your bowel screening invitation. Call us today on 1-800 45 45 55 or visit bowelscreen.ie. From the HSE.
All right, I was just about to talk to professional driver Ben, who's been dealing with this issue at Macleay's Corner for a while. Ben, thanks very much for joining us. What's your observations?
Good morning, Greg. I was just listening to your previous caller there about that crater that's at Macleay's Corner in Stinorder. Now, I'm a truck driver, and you can miss that crater and a car going around Macleay's Corner. You can keep to the left. But when you have a trailer on and you have to go out wide, you have to go into this big crater. Now, I reported this to the council a month ago, and this man, he needed all my details and my name and what I did and all this, and I told him everything, and I told him about this crater, and he says, right, I'll send an email today and I'll get that sorted. Now, I go around that corner twice a day, heavy, with a load on a truck that you have to go into this crater to get out wide, and still nothing done. I was just wasting my time talking to him.
Very frustrating, and you can't avoid it in your, as you say, you can maybe.
We can't avoid it. When you have to swing out wide in a truck to get round the corner, and you can't avoid it, you know. But even like, you know, from you come out to Ballybofey, and especially Stinorder, from the chapel to you get out at Ulster Tires, that is a disgrace. You can't to sit in a truck. You're jumping and jumping and jumping. More people have said to me, "These are very quiet people around Ballybofey." You know, I had a visitor there recently, and he says, I came through Stinorder there, and he says it was like driving on a ploughed field.
Wow, okay.
You know, and it is an absolute disgrace. We wonder what our politicians are doing at all, like, you know.
Well, let's us get it sorted, Ben. We're going to keep on it. Thanks so much for that, Ben. Look after yourself. A crater, he describes it as. Right, let's go to the Plowing Championships. They're taking place in Offaly. Darren Carty is there. He's Sheep and Schemes editor at the Irish Farmers Journal. Presumably you're employing AI, because I see behind you beautiful clear skies. This must be fake news.
Oh, Greg. It's actually, would you believe, after a terrible night's rain, it's a lovely day, clear blue skies, and there's quite a bit of drying there at the moment. Which the Plowing couldn't ask for better. There was, I'd say, maybe 15-20 mil of rain overnight, and if I switch the camera around here, you'll get a flavour of maybe when you go off the tracks what it's like. So muddy conditions, a lot of, I suppose, maybe wet, but like you take into account that most positions now have tracks or is well serviced by tracks. Apart from a few low-lying spots, conditions are good.
So, for those who haven't been, and many, many people have, try and frame it for us, you know, in terms of why people are going there. What's your average experience for your average punter, Darren?
Yeah, so I suppose what you think you're driving into is you're driving into a big number of fields. But in essence, what you're driving into is an event that's after setting up in the middle of the field. So you have, if I say maybe turn again, and if you allow me to walk to the edge.
Please do.
So essentially, this might get a better flavour of it. So you have all of these tracks, and so here's the Farmers Journal stand. Across from that is machinery. FBD, National Plowing have a big, presence there. A new one for this year is the Defence Forces. They have a big stand. we look over here in your local enterprise villages. So that just gives a flavour. So machinery is big on it. And in every, I suppose, maybe organisation then that you could think of after that, from the Defence Forces to all agricultural stakeholders, Enterprise Ireland, local enterprise, say, insurance companies, and then what there has been a lot of fanfare yesterday in particular is from the politicians. So we had presidential candidates here yesterday. We had all the main, I suppose, maybe TDs. We had the Minister for Agriculture. We had the Taoiseach. So there was a lot of fanfare around that yesterday, Greg.
And do you get a sense that, you know, the majority of attendees are invested in that side of it? You know,
I suppose it definitely created fanfare, because if you take, for example, the candidates Jim Gavin and Heather Humphreys, you had the might of those political parties. So when they're coming down the main, I suppose, walkways, you have, say, the Taoiseach, you have, say, other TDs that are supporting them. So they bring a crowd with them. And young kids want to get photos, families want to get photos. But if you're to say, and we've asked people to understand like this, what your idea of the presidential candidates, and of course Catherine Connolly is here as well. She is making her way around, but she's an independent candidate, so she hasn't that big sort of fanfare with her. There is a small bit of interest, but it's not what anyone is, say, majorly invested in, because Jim Gavin is I suppose, new candidate. He's his first chance.
we're getting a bit of wind on that. We're getting a bit of wind on that mic, Darren. No, it's not your fault. He's running, folks. This man, he's like Anneka Rice, if anyone can remember that TV show.
Yeah, sorry about that. So, like, I suppose Jim Gavin is using the opportunity to talk to farmers, put out his manifesto. But I don't get the sense that the normal punter going around is that invested.
Yeah,
there was more fanfare for Michael D. Higgins coming to open it. And, like, there was more interest in that aspect rather than the other presidential candidates, in my opinion, I know.
What's the mood amongst farmers? There's a lot going on, you know, in terms of, you know, how many cows we're producing, how much milk we're producing, decent prices for some at the marts. It's kind of seems to be not a bad summer weather-wise, right? There seems to be a mixed picture out there, and maybe it's dependent on the size of your farm. I don't know, but what is the mood? Give us an overview.
Yeah. So the mood is generally good, and if you take your listeners, for example, they've seen record beef prices. So it's been a record year for suckler sales, a record year for beef prices. So beef farmers are in good form. Sheep farmers, pretty good form, which is important in Donegal. Small bit of negativity around price, but in general, it's been a good year weather-wise up to now. Prices haven't been too bad. A lot of uncertainty around dairying, because there's a introduction of a derogation. Teagasc came out with a report last week to say that if the derogation comes in, if the derogation finishes and we go back to, say, the standard level of farming, that will take 200,000 cows out of the system and lead to a 39% decrease in profit for the average farmer that's availing of a derogation. So that's overhanging dairying in what has been a good year. And then last Friday night, we've seen tillage farmers. I know tillage is big in Donegal, but if you take the Castlefin region and that area, there's quite a good stronghold. But there's 700 farmers in Portlaoise to an emergency meeting, because what's happening at the moment is the cost of tillage farmers, or the price of tillage farmers are getting for their ton of grain, isn't covering the cost of producing it. So there is a bit of, I suppose, low ebb around tillage, but in general the mood is pretty good. There was a generation renewing report launched yesterday, which is very big, because if we take here in the Plowing, there is a lot of young people, but that's not translating maybe into young people coming into agriculture. And the big fear is that in 10, 15 years' time that we won't have enough young people to come in to sustain the farmers that's there. That report is recommending that there'll be a 25,000 payment for a farmer that's coming into farming, and also a 25,000 payment for the farmer that is transferring that business over. That would be great, Greg, if that did come to pass. Minister Hayden dampened it down a bit and said this will all be dependent on the next cap in 2028, so we're not promising anything at the moment, but at least it's been talked about.
Brilliant stuff. Listen, thanks so much for the overview, Darren, and showing us around the place. Enjoy it. This is a big 3 days for the Irish Farmers Journal.
Yeah, busy now. Busy. Look, it's very enjoyable, but we'll sleep after the 3 days, so we will.
All right, that's it. All right, look after yourself. Enjoy. Thank you so very much indeed. That's Darren Carty. He's sheep and scheme editor at the Irish Farmers Journal. 78,500 people turned up at day one. That's an increase on 3,000, up 3,000 from last year, which is good, isn't it? So more people are heading along there. All right then, as I say, thanks Darren for giving us a sense of what's going on there.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Discover a new way to cook outdoors with the Ninja Woodfire Electric Barbecue Grill, now at Ben Sweeney Euronics. It's a grill, smoker and air fryer all in one, with 7 cooking functions, no charcoal, gas or flames needed. Woodfire technology delivers real smoky flavour anywhere, in the garden, patio or in the campsite. Weather resistant and ready year round. Get the Ninja Woodfire Electric Barbecue Grill at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Letterkenny and Dunlow.
We all have questions on how to keep our kids safe online.
How do I get her to spend less time on her phone?
Where do I even start with all the apps she's on?
How do I talk to my students about bullying and social media?
There are things we can do to support children online. Visit webwise.ie for free advice for parents, teachers and young people.
From helpful guides to talking points on image sharing, gaming and more, visit webwise.ie, helping schools and families keep children safe online. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
All across Ireland, music fills cafes, salons, offices, gyms and restaurants. It creates a vibe, makes people smile. It might even turn a 4-star review into a 5. Music can lift moods, boost sales and improve staff morale. Whether your business plays background radio or a curated playlist, you need a music licence. It ensures music creators are fairly paid for their work. Buy your licence today at imro.ie/pay now. Because music drives business.
Attention Donegal, Derry and Tyrone. PD Bathrooms and Tiles are proud to unveil our newest and most stunning showroom in Lisfannon Business Park, Buncrana. Located right opposite the Northwest Golf Course, we offer unbeatable quality and incredible value. For 30 years, we've been the experts in total refits, stocking and serving as the sole agent for many top brands. Visit us today and transform your space with the finest bathroom and tile solutions. Telephone 93 95 884. PD Bathrooms and Tiles, where excellence meets value. Lisfannon Business Park, Buncrana, F93H10F.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhenny's. With new season styles arriving daily, discover the latest fashion, footwear and accessories for autumn in store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
So as the morning wears on, rain should clear the region to leave drier and brighter conditions for the afternoon with sunny spells. Very breezy though, with fresh and gusty southwesterly winds, strong or near gale force near western and northern coasts, temperatures of 15 to 18 degrees. Now, if you've got a child seat in your car, it's fantastic, right? It keeps your child safe, but it's only really effective if, you have it properly installed. It's the same when you're at sea. If you've got equipment, whether it be a radio, the batteries have to be charged. If it's flares, for crying out loud, they have to be in date and functionable. And your life jacket, believe it or not, has to conform and be updated and made sure it's functioning and all that type of stuff, especially more of the complex jackets. And Stephen Quigley is the social media officer and crew member with Loch Swilly RNLI, and he joins us now just to re-emphasise this element of it. Good morning, Stephen. I think this is our first time chatting. Great to have you on the show, especially in your current position, your new position.
Good morning, Greg, and thanks for asking us on.
Right, so we have details on this, don't we, in terms of RNLI inspected life jackets. What does that information tell us?
Well, we had clinics throughout Ireland there earlier this year, and we examined 461 life jackets, Greg, and alarmingly, 61% of them failed. So that's 280 life jackets failed the test. And we really couldn't believe how high it was.
And just, Stephen, in relation to that, are we talking, the type of life jacket someone might have if they have a kayak or they're lucky enough to have a boat? Or are you including the more sophisticated jackets that fishermen are obliged to have if they have a license for their boat, that have electronics built into them and what have you?
Yeah, well, there's a wee bit of confusion out there with the life jackets and flotation devices. A life jacket is a certified life-saving device. And what that does, for example, just saying you fell off your yacht and banged your head and you were unconscious in the water, your life jacket will activate and keep you upright, your head back in the water. So hopefully somebody finds you, you come conscious again. A flotation device is a buoyancy aid and isn't a life jacket. A flotation device will keep you afloat for a certain amount of time, but it's not guaranteed for survival. And what the message we're trying to get out here today, Greg, is just to do your checks to your life jacket. If you don't mind, I'll run through the checks here.
Please
quickly.
do, Stephen, yeah.
Yeah. Look, quite obvious one. Do your visual check, just see if there's any wear and tear. And then check your gas cylinder, see if there's any corrosion. The amount of gas cylinders we came across they were actually brown and rusty.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. And in the actual gas cylinder, there's like a clip or a capsule. It's called a bobbin, and it's like a salt tablet. And so how your life jacket activates is when you enter the water and your life jacket gets wet, the salt bobbin dissolves, and then it shoots a pin into the capsule, and that inflates your life jacket. And some of the life jackets, the bobbin was gone. There was nothing there. So if that person was in the water, the jacket wouldn't inflate.
Wow.
Check your air bladder, see if there's any wear points, and just make sure you repack your life jacket right.
Because obviously, I mean, it might seem obvious, but your gas cylinder, if that's functional and that catapults air into the air bladder, you have to. You're in the same problem if there's holes or leakage in that and that bladder can't retain the air.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
So how do we, if we say, for instance, we can do our own checks. Is it advisable to get the life jacket checked professionally?
Look, how often do you service your car? Same with life jacket. You need to service it at least once a year. It's probably your most important piece of kit on your boat, besides your radar and your compass. It's really, really important piece of gear. For example, we're not allowed to step foot in the boat unless we have our life jacket on, no matter what we're doing. Even if we're refueling or cleaning the boat, we have to have a life jacket on. People just need to realise how important they are. Yeah,
for sure. It is like having the fuse out of your airbag in the car. It's like running to where the life ring is and the life ring isn't there. It's that critical. It's the life and death situation. Okay, well worth checking out. Some easy signs to look out for as well. Some of it's common sense, but sometimes we need to be reminded of that too, Stephen. Listen, thank you very much for your time today, and well done in all the work that you and the rest of the Lough Swilly RNLI crew do, and all of the important elements of the emergency services that aren't always recognised as such. Just some comments to take us up towards the break at 10. I was driving through Ballybofey from Donegal town. It's the worst road in Ireland and has been in donkey's years. I've been all over Ireland and have never driven on a road like it. And of course, lots of questions coming in along the lines of what are our local elected representatives doing about this? Hi, Greg. I'm shocked to hear that no other candidates are able to get on the ballot for the election. That's shocking. The council should be free to nominate who they wish the president should be. The lack of people choosing, not the government. How is that democracy in action? I don't. Some councils are. There's a few things going on. Some councils are choosing not to nominate anyone, and they're doing so unanimously. I did note at some of the way some of the voting went. Others, obviously, Fine Gael are on a whip system. Some people are breaking that whip, thinking, look, I've limited enough powers within Fine Gael as is, but I'm an elected rep, and I'm going to do right by my constituents and give them a choice. So there's an awful lot going on. Staying with the election, could someone please explain to me how Heather Humphreys believes that attending and enjoying orange parades or celebrations in the South is acceptable when these people are members of an organisation who detest everything Irish and celebrate the burning of our flag every 4th of July? I don't see it like that. And, I don't have time actually to go through it now. But I would have thought, and maybe this is naive, we speak to members of the Orange Order here on this show regularly. They're not in the habit of burning flags. They're members of the community. They're represented on our national flag. And I was kind of surprised, and as I say, please correct me where I'm wrong, that Heather Humphreys was being criticised for having links with the Orange Order because they work with you. They're of the community. They have lodges in your area. They could be married to someone in your family. I don't know. So, as I say, I have to dig a little bit more on this, and maybe I'm being naive, but, explain to me a little bit more why being connected with the Orange Order is actually seen as a negative. I'm open to be educated.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
It's the 2025 World Chip Sizzle Freestyle Contest, and Charlie's Chips are in the lead again. They're coming up to the finishing pan, and Charlie's Chips are the 2025 World Champions. Sourced locally, hand-cut and freshly cooked, served with mouth-watering burgers, fresh battered fish or delicious chicken, plus a great selection of gluten-free options. Open Tuesday to Saturday 12 to 8 and every Friday for breakfast from 9. When the hunger hits, pull into Charlie's on Pierce Road, Letterkenny.
Do you sometimes struggle to hear? It could just be earwax and it's easily treated. Hidden Hearing right now are offering free earwax removal for everyone over 60, carried out by our qualified earwax technicians. Call 1-800-370-000 or go to hiddenhearing.ie. Hidden Hearing, your hearing is our expertise. T's and C's apply.
New this week in Home Store and More. All ottomans are all half price. But better hurry, because when all our half price ottomans are gone, they're gone. Also, all bar stools are still all half price, and all mattress toppers are still all 33% off. But when all the half price bar stools and all the 33% off mattress toppers are gone, they're definitely gone. Drop by your local Home Store and More. Visit us online at homestoreandmore.ie. Home Store and More. A happy home.
The Irish Coast Guard is recruiting watch officers for its rescue coordination centres in Valentia, Malin Head and Dublin.
Mayday relay. Mayday relay.
It's our job to coordinate life-saving missions for swimmers, seafarers and anyone else who needs our help.
Copy that, Rescue 115. Position confirmed. Proceed with rescue.
Watch officers stay calm under pressure. We have to. It's how we save lives. Apply today at publicjobs.ie.
McGowan Hearing, one of the longest established audiologists in the Northwest, now have weekly clinics in Letterkenny, Buncrana and Carndonagh. Book your free hearing aid consultation at one of these clinics or with audiologist Darren McGowan in your own home. Call 07191 00208 or visit mcgowanhearing.com.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. The Taoiseach says today is a hugely significant day for sanctions against Israel. The European Commission will present plans which could see sanctions placed on trade between Israel and Europe. Simon Harris says the effect of the measures could be extraordinarily impactful as Israel continues its offensive in Gaza.
Today is a hugely significant day at a European level in terms of taking sanctions against Israel. There is a genocide going on in Gaza. They're not just my words, they're not just the words of Ireland, they're now the findings of an independent inquiry of the United Nations. And what we will see today is the European Commission finally tabling concrete measures that can be taken that would result in real sanctions against Israel.
The trial of Soldier F continues at Belfast Crown Court later today. The former British paratrooper is charged with 2 murders and 5 attempted murders on Bloody Sunday in Derry over 50 years ago. He's pleaded not guilty. Chelsea Keeley explains what's happening at court today.
Following the prosecution laying out a broad summary of the case on Monday, today's focus will be around two soldiers' statements made following the events of January 30th in 1972. They'll be the subject of a hearsay application to determine their admissibility as trial evidence.
The €7 million allocated to transform the old Letterkenny courthouse has been described as a huge step forward for the town. Donegal County Council received the allocation today as part of a €90 million funding package announced by the Minister for Housing, Local Government and Heritage, James Brown, under Thrive, the Town Centre First Heritage Revival Scheme. It will see the iconic building transformed into a multifunctional education, entertainment and culture centre. Minister Charlie McConlogue anticipates that works will start next year.
It obviously has great history. It's also a building which is protected. As a result of the public consultation and a result of this €7 million funding now, we're going to see the Letterkenny Courthouse play a really important role in Letterkenny into the future, and one that's very much at the centre of education, entertainment and culture in the town and in the county. And the expectation is that the work should be able to commence in these projects by the end of next year.
A Donegal man has been commended for risking his life to rescue a child in a crash in England. Shane Doherty from Carndonagh was one of two men who were first on the scene of the multi-vehicle collision on the M6 at T-Bay on October the 15th last year. Katie Gillen has more.
Chief Inspector Sam Turner Cumbria Police Operational Support nominated Shane Doherty and Gavin Walsh for Chief Constable's commendation in recognition of their selfless and exceptionally brave actions following the crash which claimed the lives of 5 people. Police say the pair, with little thought to their own safety, approached a vehicle which was rapidly catching fire and rescued a young child trapped inside. CI Turner says the actions of both men showed extraordinary courage and instinctive heroism during a harrowing and distressing situation. A 7-year-old child was the sole survivor of the crash.
The Cahirlock of the Lifford-Stranorlar Municipal District says that since the rollout of new bus shelters became the responsibility of the road design team, there haven't been enough erected in the area. Councillor Patrick McGuyan says the long-promised new shelters haven't materialised along the N15. He says he was reassured at previous municipal district meetings that there would be progress, but nothing has happened. Councillor McGuyan says while there are plans to upgrade some bus shelters, those along main roads need to be prioritised.
Lifford has some, Ballyfane Star has some, but Kellygarden, Castlefan have none. I'm just disappointed it's taken this long. I look at Sligo and Leitrim and other and Cavan, and I have seen lots of new bus shelters, and they're not even on the main routes. And I've been saying that to the council, but we have been given a promise that as soon as these ones are built now, that they will be looking now at a priority for national primaries such as Castlefan and Kellygarden.
A burst water main is impacting parts of Inishowen this morning. Repairs are ongoing, which may cause supply disruptions in Ballyliffin, Carndonagh and surrounding areas. Works are scheduled to take place until 4 o'clock this afternoon. Overnight rain is clearing this morning and it will become a largely dry day but cloudy with some isolated showers and limited sunny spells. Highest temperatures of 15 to 17 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website at highlandradio.com. Good morning. The obituary notices for this Wednesday morning, September the 17th. The death has taken place of Caroline Elizabeth Betty Elliott, née Hall, late of Castle Manor, Kesh, and formerly of Clonelly Farmhouse, Kesh. House strictly private, please. Friends and neighbours are welcome to call and meet the family in Ballycasty House Funeral Home, 101 Killadays Road, Enniskillen, today between 5 and 8 o'clock. A service of thanksgiving for the life of Betty will take place in Ardess Parish Church on Friday afternoon at 3:30, followed by burial in the adjoining churchyard. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Fred Fellows Foundation. Cheques should be made payable to the Fred Fellows Foundation and sent to W.T. Morrison Funeral Directors, Ballycasty House Funeral Home, Enniskillen, or donate online at wtmorrison.com. The death has taken place of Artie McGinley, 20A Newton Street, Strabane, and formerly of Gorchin North, Ballindrate, reposing at his home. Fiona leaving his home this morning at 10:25 for Requiem Mass in the Sacred Heart Church at Derry Road, Strabane at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Family time please before the funeral this morning. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Magella Duffy, Dewey, Bon Glengad. Magella's remains are reposing at her home. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:20 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Clay, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on Emma McLaughlin, Funeral Director's Facebook page. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Patients Comfort Fund, Carndonagh Community Hospital, care of any family member or Emma McLaughlin, Funeral Director. The death has occurred of Joan McGee, née Gallagher, 2 Mill Park, Carrigans. Joan's remains are reposing at her late residence, 2 Mill Park, Carrigans. The funeral cortege will leave her residence tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, proceeding to St Beathan's Church, St Johnston, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass. Cremation will follow at Lakeland's Crematorium, Cavan, County Cavan. Family flowers only please. Donations in lieu if desired to Cancer Care West, care of any family member or Kelly's Funeral Directors. And the death has taken place of Seamus McBride, 338 Railway Road, Raphoe. Seamus is reposing at his late residence. The funeral cortege will leave his late residence this morning at 10:30, travelling to St Junan's Church, Raphoe, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. The Mass may be viewed on the Parish of Raphoe webcam. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio. If you were given a €10,000 grant right now to help boost your business, what would you do with it? Interesting. Three's Grants for Small Businesses is back. And we're giving away another €100,000 in cash, products and solutions from 3 to 10 small businesses across Ireland to help their business take off. Apply now at 3.ie/business. 3 Business, where connections come to life. Winner selected by judging panel on review of applications. See 3.ie for terms.
Text or WhatsApp your view to Greg on 086 60 25,000.
You're very welcome back to Wednesday's 9 till noon show, the 17th of September. I hope you're all very well indeed. If anyone can safely get a picture of the Stranola Maclay Corners crater, as we're calling it now, it's the Maclay's Corner crater. I'm not calling it, that's what listeners are calling it. Do get it into us if you can, because it is, when you've got Ben, a truck driver, saying, look, it's destroying the vehicle, and others having to swerve to avoid it on potentially one of the busiest junctions in the county. I would love to get a look at it because of passing it at night time. So let me know what the if you can say, and it has to be safely, of course, get a picture of Stranola crater. Sticking with that, I'm waiting for the Stranola crater to take the wheel off my car. Best sporting facilities in Ireland per capita, with the worst moon crater like Main Street. Maybe it's going to be used for the next Irish obstacle course race. Better get fixed before the mythological bypass lands. Yeah, well, you'll probably be dangling out of Australia by the time the bypass happens. The courthouse in Letterkenny. In my opinion, 7 million on the old courthouse is wasting money. Put it into our health service, housing, the bridge over the Swilly. We have the theatre and a cultural centre down the street, tourism building at a Polestar or at the Polestar. Why not put offices in it or something that generates income instead of wasting 7 million? Now, that 7 million could be going to another part of the world. I think there's different tranches of funding in different areas of spending. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but, they're off budgets in each area and they're not necessarily transferable. Is that 7 million? It'll never end up on the bridge. It'll never end up in the health service. Is that 7 million not better, which is a very important part of Letterkenny, the old courthouse? Is it not better there developing something there? I'm just throwing it out there because, as I say, the truth is if it's not spent there, it doesn't magically appear in the hospital or on a road or elsewhere. The likes of the 10T, for an example, it's going to be funded out of roads money, and we're being assured that it's It is going to be funded, so that 7 million would just be lost in that project. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. If you think it's an absolute waste of money, that's a very valid point of view, and share it with us as well. I'm on the dual carriageway into Letterkenny just now on the way back to work, and because of the road works, there's a large tailback. 3 cars have just passed me on the inside lane on the hard shoulder. Why don't these drivers leave a bit earlier? Why are the Gardaí not monitoring this behaviour and finding them hard? To the other drivers up front who let them in, try teaching them some basic driving manners by making them sit there. Is it possible they're taking a left turn? Maybe they're heading towards Ballybofey and they're going to turn left and sort of go up the back road that runs alongside Lurgy-Brack Road. I'm not saying that's justification. I'm just throwing it out there. Is that a possibility? I'm actually sometimes I really annoy people when people are frustrated by bad behaviour and I try and forgive it. I'm not trying to do that. I'm sorry. I know it's very frustrating. I've been that soldier and it annoys the hell out of me. You used to see it there before they changed the road at the T junction there. What's it called? Heading into Ballybofey from Letterkenny. Cars would scoot up the left, do a U-ey and then cut across. It used to be very annoying because it's dangerous. You could do it, but you didn't, and others were doing it. What that man is saying is 100% true. Life's basic things in life cannot be troublesome, and some of the roads are awful. Another, I couldn't agree more. Parts of the moon smoother than Stranraer. I don't understand why they are doing Drumkeen and not Stranraer. Hi Greg, I'm in Tenerife at the minute and travelling from north to south of the island. I keep saying to myself that we have third world roads compared to the quality of highways and byways here. It's no joke. The standard of our roads and the amount of motor tax and petrol and diesel that we pay. Indeed. Listen, enjoy Tenerife. What's it like? What's the weather like? And listen, thanks so much for staying tuned to us, even though you may well be on your holidays. Read the Catherine Connolly, Owen Hayes headline. Glad someone is seeing sense like Catherine Connolly. A student dressed up at Halloween, for goodness sake. We all have some mistakes we make in our student lives. It looks like Owen Hayes has someone maybe in Social Democrats who've been digging for any misinformation or misdemeanor and trying to cancel him. Yeah, indeed, and I said this in the show yesterday. Very few of us couldn't have something dug up or reminded of something that we're not proud of. So, yeah. Drinking less or drinking zero and taking on vaping, that's the new now. And what the heck's in vapes? Be careful. Yeah, I get where you're coming from, and there are vapes, and it's being outlawed now, that do have some sort of mind-altering elements to it. Vaping is whatever's in the liquid plus nicotine. Obviously, drinking, we know what drink is. Listen, but thank you for that. The new shopping area in Letterkenny is a disgrace, believes a listener. Promise of toilets have yet to happen. Well, almost at the point where I'm not doing interviews on those toilets any longer because I feel like I've been misleading the public, not intentionally, but in other words, there's a plan. This is what we're going to do. It's going to happen. They'll be open now. And I'm hearing this over and over and over again, yet I'm also being contacted by people who don't go to that area of Letterkenny because they can't do so because they need a toilet when they need a toilet. So it's kind of frustrating, that we just put a blooming toilet in there. Hi Greg, having used most of the public toilets around the county, I must say Dunlow is one of the best kept toilets in the county and is usually always open. It must have been a once off. Listen, thank you for that. Any public toilets or are public toilets for tourists only, asks the listener. I don't know. I'm supposing as to why they might be closed. Is it because the tourism season's officially over? Sorry, I wasn't stating that as a fact. But, why would there be padlocks on the toilets in Dunlow otherwise? I'm waiting for an answer. And when I say I mean we. Another caller says, most towns nowadays have lovely cafes and nice hotels to have a bite to eat in, but all our towns in Donegal let us down badly where public toilets are concerned. Why, oh why, they ask. Had a great reaction to Daniel O'Donnell on the show yesterday. Obviously, he was on, just to clarify, that he's taken a step back from touring for a period of time just to build himself up, having battled some allergies. And as it so happens, just with a change in how people consume information, and I suppose less information from Daniel, the fanzine, the official fanzine's being wound down. But most of the people that access him directly on socials anyway. But some of you, and we also asked him about would he take a run at the presidency as well. Daniel, says this listener, has already, without the realisation of it, been an ambassador for Ireland around the world, always talking about Ireland and growing up in Ireland and Donegal. That comes in from Gary. And Gary, you're so right. I think we've lost great people to politics, elected politics. people that were actually making a difference. And you get into politics and you become, I don't know how you would describe it, you just become part of a clique, you know. And I've seen really good people with really good, you know, what you would say is, you know, and this can be people of all different political backgrounds, and you go into elected politics and you just become part of that system. And then I think you lose that important platform that you had almost. So I think you make a really good point about Daniel O'Donnell. He's achieving probably much more in terms of our reputation and promoting our beautiful country and county than he might even be able to do so as president. Another caller says, Greg, what makes Daniel right for the job is the fact he thinks he isn't right for the job. He's already proving himself to be a stalwart of an ambassador for Donegal. What would he not be able to do for the country? That's just a follow on from that first text. Another, Daniel's such an absolute amazing human being who should have been selected unanimously as President of Ireland. He's everything in Donegal, or to Donegal, Ireland in fact, the whole Irish diaspora worldwide, a Gael Gore, a fantastic entertainer, but most importantly, a wonderful human being with understanding, empathy, joy, happiness and everything. Enjoy your wee break. We all love you. That comes in from Helen and Mary. And loads more messages, and we will get to them. Actually, someone pointed out that, and I don't want to, you know, I mean, someone might be in a very desperate situation, but there seems to be a tent on the Joe Bonner Link Road, and it's been there for a couple of weeks now. I mean, it's not very pleasant to be outside, but some people are saying that they've seen this tent on the Joe Bonner Link Road in Letterkenny for over 2 weeks now, and they claim that their family is scared to visit the park. Is this going to be the new norm? Now, I don't know who's in the tent, how many people are in the tent, where they're from, what they're doing. There's no suggestion that, you know, they're involved in anything nefarious. It's just that this family is scared to go down there, and they're wondering, is this the new norm where in public spaces you're going to see tents here, there and everywhere? It's a terrible indictment, really, of how we're doing things. I'm sure no one would be, you would hope no one would be living in a tent, lying on concrete by choice. But anyway, that family feels intimidated to go near that area and are wondering, can the guards not move that persons on? Right, let's take a break. Back with more after the bingo numbers.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Wednesday, September 17th. Playing for the daily prize of €1,400 on the blue sheet. Reference number is S8. It's week 38. Today's numbers are 62, 72, 32, 34, 67, 14, 61, 82, 1 and 81. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
When the time comes, the last thing you want is for your family to worry about funeral costs. That's why On Post Insurance offers funeral insurance for those aged 50 to 75. A simple way to help ease the burden for the people you care about most. Take a moment today to plan ahead. Call 0818 22 22 22 or visit onpostinsurance.ie. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. One Direct Ireland Limited, trading as On Post Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. One Direct Ireland Limited is a wholly owned subsidiary of On Post. Funeral insurance is underwritten and provided by New Ireland Assurance Company plc. On Post Insurance is a tied agent of New Ireland Assurance Company plc for life assurance business.
The County Donegal Blackface Sheep Breeders Association annual female sale of cast ewes, hoggets and ewe lambs will take place in Ballybuffet and Stranraer Mart on Friday the 19th of September at 6 p.m. 3 lambs will be sold on the day in aid of the Donegal Hospice. That's this Friday the 19th at Ballybuffet and Stranraer Mart.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. 07495 325 75.
We wish you a... It may be too early for Christmas carols, but it's never too early to start the Christmas shopping. Save hundreds, possibly thousands of euro shopping online with Space Hub Derry. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your Christmas parcels and post. Save on delivery and on customs tariffs this Christmas with Space Hub Derry. Open Monday to Saturday, collect at your convenience. Find us on Facebook and Google Space Hub Derry.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
And you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. We're very excited, actually, by the way. We mentioned this at the time, but the IMRO Awards are coming up at the start of October, and these are the awards that... they're like the Oscars for Irish radio. So it's, you know, your local stations like us, your regional stations like iRadio, your national stations like, controversially enough, the BBC and RTE are in there as well. And you get nominated, and if you're lucky enough, you get shortlisted, and potentially you could go on to win an award. Now, little old Highland Radio is doing really quite well for itself, not least this show, because we are shortlisted in the interactive speech program section. Now, it's going to be a tough category for us, the 9 till noon show, because we're up against Liveline from RTE and the Nolan Show from BBC Radio Ulster, which is actually kind of hard to listen to since BBC Sounds stopped broadcasting into the Republic, and Red FM and Radio Carrier in there as well. So listen, we're one of 5 being shortlisted is fantastic. We'll keep you up to date at that time. It's in the first Friday of October, I think, that we're heading down to Kilkenny. But also to been nice to get recognition for our local election coverage as well. We had a great reaction to that, and that's in the news programme, Local Regional. We put a lot of effort into that for all the right reasons as well. We just wanted people to be able to be really part of that process and to enjoy it wherever they are. So we're shortlisted there alongside Ocean FM, Q102 and WLR. And our own Oisin Kelly is in the running for the Sports Broadcaster of the Year, which would be a lovely thing for him and a great recognition of all he's achieving and what have you. And he's shortlisted in that as well. So to be shortlisted in and of itself, given the amount of radio stations, is really a great achievement. So we will keep you updated on that ceremony, and we'll certainly blow our own trumpet if we win and say very little about it if we don't. Isn't that how it normally works, especially with the listenership figures and all that? You do see quite a bit of that. No, Caroline, that person's just not in there yet. So Maclay's Crater, got some images of it here, and it is a big one, and it's almost as if it's been stripped back. That road is just absolutely brutal. Have a look at that, folks. If you're watching the show, have a look at that. It is a crater. I see why people are calling it a crater there. It's almost down. You'd swear to God the road was built on Roman blocks, and they've been exposed. That's how bad it is. And it's just right there where you might be turning. Let's see if we can get another angle. Yeah, you can see why they're calling it a crater. Lads and lassies, let's get a wheelbarrow of tar and chuck it in there. You can see where the other holes have been replaced, but that's absolutely brutal, especially for big vehicles that can't avoid it. So it is there, Maclay's Crater. And the sooner that is fixed, the better. You know, you're going through there in an Arctic. How many wheels are going to be hitting, banging out of that? It's bad enough as it is. Listen, if the road can't be resurfaced for a time, at least get the Maclay's Crater sorted, the Maclay's Corner Crater. All right, some of your comments here. It's a disgrace Letterkenny has no public toilet, while most other towns in Donegal have one. Shame on our councillors. Good morning, Greg. I just heard you mention traffic on the dual carriageway there. I'm wondering, can you clarify something for me? My daughter was coming from the Manor direction this morning and going on to the dual carriageway heading for Letterkenny. Obviously, the rule is if you're going to Letterkenny, you take the right-hand lane, and if you're going towards Lifford, you should be in the left lane. This morning, she was in the right lane, but a van and trailer came around on the left lane beside her going to Letterkenny as well. I'm just wondering if the rules have changed in some way, but isn't this wrong? She got an awful shock because as you go around the roundabout, you usually veer towards the left lane again. So are you in the left lane on the carriageway? Right. So someone's going to give me better advice on this than I can. But my understanding is both of those lanes go into Letterkenny. The left lane is straight on and onto the left lane of the four lanes, so to speak. But the left lane can also take you up towards Ballybofey, and the right lane, generally speaking, you can use that lane and go into the right lane of the two lanes of the four lanes. So I hope that's perfectly clear for you now. But I believe you can use both lanes there, but you wouldn't cut across exiting those lanes between the two lanes. Right. Did I say lanes? Patricia Devlin is from the Journal Investigates and joined me just at the really wrong time as I tried to explain a complex road junction. Patricia, good morning to you. Thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, Greg.
Right, now, you have been part of the Journal Investigates team looking at hate crime figures. And what have been your findings, the most notable?
Yes, so I think everyone knows over the last few months we've seen a number of high-profile alleged racist attacks taking place in Ireland, and so we wanted to analyse data, and the only data available to us was from 2021 to 2024, and we found that the number of anti-race crimes and related incidents has risen by 24% since 2021. So last year, of the 676 hate crimes and reports made to Gardaí, around 264 were connected to race, and that's an increase from 213 recorded in 2021, when a total of 483 hate crimes and incidents were logged. So it's quite a rise. We're seeing more so-called hate crimes. Those are recorded by Gardaí on the Pulse system, and it is done so based on the victims or reporting parties' perception. So unfortunately, that makes race the single most common motive for hate crime in Ireland.
And it is increasing. Is there a sense that the reports and the collation of those figures tell the full story?
Well, I spoke to experts, including Dr. James Carr, who is an associate professor of sociology at the University of Limerick. He's studied racism here for over a decade. He says that while those reports are up, which is a good thing, it actually tells us that the number of underreported incidents is also up. So there will be many people who have suffered a hate crime, been racially abused, that won't report it to Gardaí. So while those figures are up, so is the incidents that aren't reported.
Do I get a sense, and I wonder, has anyone you've spoken to got a sense that people feel more empowered to maybe express sentiments or views publicly or to someone's face that they may have harboured privately in the past?
Well, as I mentioned, Dr. Carr, he believes that racism today, and in particular in Ireland, has got more aggressive, it's got more obvious and more brazen, that people are more emboldened today to take racist positions and ask questions that are, appear to be dog whistles for racism. I did ask him about, the online world, where comments, it's like the Wild West. Is that linked to offline violence? And Dr. Carr said, absolutely, it is. So, that is playing a huge part in what we're seeing today. And, Dr. Carr said that he felt that the failure to include hate speech legislation in our new hate crime laws was a missed opportunity to deal with that.
Also, of the view then that the current hate crime legislation does not go far enough. Did he indicate what else the government needs to do? Is it to expand that legislation, other actions that he believes should be taken?
His view and the view of other experts that I spoke to is that hate crime laws can't tackle this alone. There needs to be a whole society approach. There needs to be education. Well, two of the alleged attacks that I've referenced, including an attack on a 6-year-old Indian girl outside our County Waterford home, and the attack on the man in Tala who was stripped of his clothing and assaulted after being falsely accused of inappropriate behaviour. Um, I've just completely lost my train of thought there.
You're perfectly fine. You did actually make the point that you were seeking to make. Thank you for that. 1 in 2 of the healthcare staff in Letterkenny University Hospital are close to it, and I think this is sort of replicated not just in the acute services, but in the home care sector and what have you. Are not necessarily from Ireland. Some of them are actually second generation Irish, right? But you would have thought that maybe, given the fact that they're contributing so much to the community, that even those that harbour these views might hold them back. But unfortunately, the frontline health service staff are often at the brunt of this type of abuse.
Yeah, I spoke to Phil Nasha, who, as we know, is the president of the main trade union here in Ireland, excuse me, and she says that our healthcare staff are actually, at the forefront at experiencing racism. She has actually called in the Department of Justice to bring in protection for workers travelling to and from work, which I think is just appalling that even has to be considered. The Indian Embassy has also advised its citizens here to not travel through deserted areas and to be very safety conscious after the recent spate of attacks. So it's really sad that without migrant healthcare workers, our health system would collapse. Basically, I mean that's a fact.
Yeah. You also quote CSO statistics, which came out at the time and maybe didn't get the focus that they deserved, but it shows the extent of discrimination being felt by, I'll call it the non-white community. I don't know how you catch all, really, because there are people who are from different countries that have just arrived. You have people who are second and third generation that have dark skin. So it's very hard to sort of catch all. But anyway, the CSO figures did, in terms of terminology, and they found that quite a startling amount of Black Irish, Black African and people with other Black backgrounds had experienced discrimination.
Yeah, they found their research which is always brilliant. The CSO do a really brilliant job. They not only gather statistics, but they do research reports, and they found that half of those from a Black Irish, Black African or other Black background had experienced discrimination of some form in the previous 2 years. And that's compared to just 1 in 5 respondents who identified as white Irish. So, I mean, that's a huge indicator of what many people are experiencing here.
As we start talking about, maybe increasing laws, increasing penalties on the world we live in now, that actually really, I think, can exacerbate problems and widen divisions. People might text in and say, yeah, but what about what's going on in my community? Where are the statistics about what's happening in certain parts of Letterkenny or whatever it might be? I mean, we can see in other countries what happens when we go down the route of trying to, use the law to try. That's not what this is about, I don't think. This is about us coexisting in this space. And I think some of the people you spoke to recognize that too, don't they? That this is not just because if you introduce really stringent laws, next thing you know, you've just got, thousands of people on the street saying, this, that, and done. So we need alternative approaches as well. Is that what some people were saying to you?
Yes, absolutely. It's not one expert that I spoke to said we need to bring in laws, we need to jail people, we need to do that. It's about the whole societal change for the benefit of everybody, because, there has been racism in Ireland going back generations. It's been everywhere. It's not an Ireland only issue, but what we're seeing recently is the attacks I mentioned, and that is really worrying. And of course, these statistics are worrying. So it's about making that change. And like Dr. James Carr said, a deeper change is what really needed. Not, think about it beyond the incident, whether it's a hate crime or an experience of discrimination. We need to support the people who are targeted, but we also need to take that broader society approach to deal with racism as a whole.
Okay, listen, Patricia, thank you for your time. The full investigation is available on the journal.ie. It's part of the Journal Investigates programme. Thank you for your time, Patricia. Look after yourself. Bye-bye. Take care. Patricia Devlin there. Did I say Divine? Sorry, Devlin. My apologies. But yeah, it's a far more complex situation, and I think it's rooted in immigration policy, and this is not just here. This is everywhere. People think this is an Irish conversation. It's not. It's happening everywhere. People have concerns about too many people coming into the country, and then instead of sort of maybe having a go at the government, they have a go at the people. But then they don't just have a go at the people that are coming in that maybe are coming in for the wrong reasons. They have a go at everyone that looks like that person that's coming in for the wrong reasons. And I don't know how you undo that. I don't know how you unpack it, really, to be honest with you. I haven't a clue. I watch on and see what's happening around the world, and it's kind of depressing, and you can see it happening here as well. But we'll see. I don't know. I can see all sides. I can't see any side to being abusive to people or being racist or what have you. But I mean, I can see what's driving this. What's driving this is genuine concern. And then you have a cohort of people that are, applying their own agendas or using that for their own reasons as well. And as I say, you can see that in Britain. You can see it in Ireland now. You can say anything now, at all, anything about anyone. There's no rules, regs in terms of, what can and can't be said online anymore. It's simply not. You can say anything. And then it's kind of interesting in that, people talk about left or right, what's happening in America at the moment. The greatest advocates of free speech, the more the more conservative, are like, yeah, we're all for free speech, but you can't say this about Charlie Kirk. You can't say that about Donald Trump. You can't say you have to be cancelled. You have to lose your job. You need to be taken off social media. And what we're seeing in America now is the biggest proponents of anti-free speech are the more conservative, who are the biggest defenders of free speech and carrying arms, etc. It's a crazy old world. And then there's no irony in it at all. So you've got whole swathes of sort of very conservative ex-accounts now trying to get other people banned for saying words that they didn't like. But they're not saying it's words that we didn't like. That's hate speech. But what we say is not hate speech. And to say, the left's as bad as the right at times. The extremes of both, by the way, I mean. And I just can't get my head around it all, nor do I want to. Although, given that I'm sitting in this seat, we do tease it out and have a chat. But do you get where I'm coming from? I'm waffling. 08660 25,000.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
If you're aged 59 to 70, we will invite you for a free HSE bowel screening home test. Screening can help find signs of bowel cancer early, before any symptoms show, making it easier to treat.
You've got experience. Now it's time to build on it. With Skills to Advance, get the tools to grow with flexible, tailor-made courses in areas like AI, digital skills, sustainability, technology, leadership and management. They're short, practical and low cost. So whether you're looking to step up, switch paths or stay sharp, this is your next move. Contact your local education and training board or visit skillstoadvance.ie. Skills to Advance. Boost skills, boost business. Supported by Solus and the Government of Ireland.
Big wins deserve big moments, and we've got the perfect way to celebrate with our great selection of medals and trophies at Michael Murphy Sports, the Northwest leader in sport and training equipment for clubs and schools. Contact us today by emailing info@michaelmurphysports.ie or call 91 28268.
Here, would you look at Eco Enda?
He's only after going and getting himself one of the new Skoda EVs.
First he went vegan, then he got solar panels, now this.
I'm sure he'd buy anything as long as he can get a grant for it.
Must be from that county beside Monaghan.
The new fully electric Skoda range. The kind of cars that get the neighbours talking. But only if you're quick. Check availability at skoda.ie. Skoda. Let's explore.
Skoda. Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721396.
A water conservation order continues to be in place in the Milford area until October 13th to safeguard the water supply for essential purposes. This order follows many months of dry weather, putting the water source under stress. Please do not use a hosepipe or sprinkler and conserve water wherever you can. Together, we can safeguard our water resources. Learn more at water.ie/WCO. Ishke Éireann, delivering water services for Ireland.
Don't delay when you get your bowel screening invitation. Call us today on 1800 45 45 55 or visit bowelscreen.ie. From the HSE.
Okay, there's lots of people that are struggling financially. We reference that an awful lot on this programme. But we also are coming, and there have been some measures to assist with the back to school, but for some still, it is a time whereby there's extra expense. We're also coming to that period where you might be looking at your oil tank and, it's just above the tap. And, you're probably going to have to spend, 480 quid on 500 litres or whatever it might be. And then we're heading towards Christmas. And Christmas can be quite expensive as we try and meet all of the family's expectations. So, as I say, there's a lot coming down the line on top of. And also, too, there's some uncertainty about what supports, if any, will be available from the government as we start using more electricity, whilst we still pay some of the highest electricity rates in Europe. So there's a lot going on there. Right, and it can become overwhelming, but we can try and plan. We have to talk about it, take our heads out of the sand if they're in there, and see what we can do to try and deal with these unavoidable costs. Carl Cronin is MAB's regional manager and national spokesperson. He's with us now. Carl, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
I'm trying to frame the reality of many people out there, and I have in the back of my head, of course, this fact that 220,000 children are living in poverty in this country, in this wealthy country, as I'm continuously being told. Money worries. They put such a strain on us as individuals, on relationships. When you're struggling financially, you almost can't take solace in your health or your relationship or your family because it can be so blooming overwhelming.
You're absolutely right, and financial stress and financial anxiety affects pretty much every one of us at some stage of our lives. And being in debt and being in that position is a very lonely place to be, and it does have a huge impact on relationships, your physical health, your mental health. And that's why it's important that we talk about financial woes and worries and concerns. And there shouldn't be a stigma around financial issues because we all go through them. No matter how much money is coming in or how little money is coming into a house, we all have lifestyles that are tailored accordingly, and we need to plan and organise and budget our household expenses and make sure we're getting the most of our income coming in as well to meet all those expenses.
There was a period of time, and it's not too long ago, where I had 2 credit cards, and I think they were at 3,000 and 7,000 or something like that there. And the mortgage was there as well, and I overborrowed on the mortgage, if the truth be told. And, I couldn't meet the minimum payments. My wage is my income. I couldn't meet the minimum payments on the credit cards and the mortgage, and actually just eat and heat the house. That was just the reality. But the phone calls, the constant phone calls, the letters that used to come through, I would get no post before, but then I was getting 5 or 6 letters. And as I say, and I was just ignoring it. I couldn't see the woods for the trees. There was no way out of it. It was an absolutely impossible situation, and I felt the world was closing in on top of me because there just seemed to be no hope whatsoever in terms of meeting these financial responsibilities. I think things have improved somewhat now with the likes of MABs and getting the information out there. But my point is that there are people listening who are probably going to find themselves in the same position as I was not too long ago, right? But there is help. You can't do what I did, ignore it and think it will go away and end up not eating and having indigestion and anxiety and every other blooming thing. You have to do something about it.
It can be very overwhelming. And as you say, as the letters keep coming in, what our experience is many people stop opening the letters because they know what it's going to say and they know what the contents are. But you're absolutely right in that there is help available here in MABS. And many times when we meet clients for the first time, they bring in a bundle of posts to us and say, I just wasn't able to start going through this. I know I owe money, but I can't cope with the calls anymore. I can't cope with the post anymore. And we sit down and we work out a realistic plan and prioritize who needs to be paid. So credit cards, they're what we call secondary debts. Your priority is food, light, heat, the roof over your head. And we work out a plan based on every household and every individual circumstances based on that. And it's very important as well that we look at the income side coming into every house, Greg.
But you say there, Carl, and I just want to sort of make sure I know what MABS offers to support. So you say, right, the credit cards are secondary. But I'm not engaging with the credit card companies anyway. So can MABS help in that regard to sort of try and assist me to get the ducks in the row, but also engage with some of the lending institutions, for an example?
Absolutely. And that's probably one of the primary roles we do, Greg, is intervene, and we act as the honest broker between the borrower and the lender and the institute that did give you the credit card or the bank loan or whatever the case may be. And we do have quite good protocols in place with those lenders. So when they get a financial statement from us that shows the individual's income, their expenses, and how they're trying to address their debt scenarios, the creditors will very much work with us and work with the borrowers as well. And it may be something like a token payment of €5 per month just to not go legal on a debt. Because if you ignore it and if you keep your head in the sand, you're leaving them with no option but to go down a legal avenue to try and recover the debt, which only serves to add more costs to a debt that's already unmanageable. So the reality is getting the help and getting the advice and getting the support through us to come up with a realistic, sustainable plan. And what we find is if a creditor rings today and you just want to get them off the phone and you promise them, I'll pay you €50 on Friday when I get paid, they are going to expect that every Friday. And you can't maintain that. So you're making promises that you know you can't keep, but you're backed into a corner and you feel like you've no other choice. And that's just going to come catch up with you very quickly. Whereas our plans work on a sustainable budget, a very small, regular amount that everybody is happy, that stops the phone calls, that stops the letters, and ultimately leads to financial independence in the long run. And it may take 1 year or 2 years or 3 years to get there, but it is the peace of mind and it's the weight lifted off the shoulders.
I can't imagine what it must have felt like, you know, when I was in the depths of it, to go in and sit in front of one of your colleagues and walk out knowing, right, I'm not turning my back on my responsibilities, but I can actually maybe manage now, or there's a plan, or I can sleep tonight without wondering what's going to come through the door in the morning. You know, people really, really need to engage with MABS in this matter if they're in that space, I think.
100%. There has to be a plan and there has to be communication, because if there's no communication with the bank or with the credit card company, whatever, the calls are going to keep coming, the letters are going to keep coming. But if we open a channel through of communication, and many people who come to us are very capable and able to do this themselves with our support, and we just prompt them with the letters and prompt them with the language they need to use and prompt them with, this is a realistic offer you can make. You can afford this, but you can't afford that. Don't overcommit in terms of a repayment plan. And that's what it's all about. And we'll revisit the plan. If someone's circumstances change overnight, maybe somebody gets sick in the household, or there's a redundancy or a separation or some description of an income shock, we can revisit the plan any amount of times that needs be. But it's all about a realistic, sustainable plan that is affordable and that can keep the weight off your shoulders.
And there's also information there too about if you fall behind in your electricity, there are schemes still in place there. That means you won't be disconnected if you enter into an agreement. There are other assistance from the state through the Department of Social Welfare and what have you that are there available to help with things like fuel as well. So there is supports there. But, you know, there's this presumption too, Carl, that we all know how to deal with money. Like, I know people really that can't really, in a way, differentiate between a €20 and a €50 note. It's just, you know, the way their mind works. And even if that's not the issue, sometimes making this amount of money cover that amount of debt or living over this period of time, it can be beyond people. So can MABS help in terms of looking at someone's finances and breaking it down in a more manageable, understandable way?
Yeah, one of the first things we do, Greg, is look at maximising the income coming into the house, because, as you say yourself, sometimes you're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole and it's just not going to work. But there are lots of supports out there available, and we know where to signpost. We know where to access those supports. If it's a utility arrears issue, we know there's an energy engage code. Get them engaged in that code to avoid disconnection. If it's a non-secure debt, get them into a very small repayment plan, or look at a protocol that we have in place with the Bank and Payments and Federation of Ireland, for example, with all the members there. So it's very much about breaking it down piece by piece, prioritising where the money has to go every week or every month, and that's non-negotiable, and then see where the discretionary money has to go, and is there any left over for the credit cards, for the personal loan. The mortgage or the rent is a priority, and we strive to make sure that that's affordable. But it's all about looking at the plan. We'll move it around 3 or 4 times before we get it right, and then we may have to review it 3 or 4 times over the course of a year or 2 years. But it's all about having that plan in place and breaking it down so that our clients understand how to manage their finances better going forward. We do a lot of work in the schools as well, Greg, and we're surprised at the amount of young people now who just don't deal in cash whatsoever, and everything is tapping, and everything is they don't really see the value of money because it's just on a screen or on a phone, and it's money in and money out. So we work with educating them as well in terms of budgeting and being conscious about where your money goes, because if you don't have that understanding and that grasp of money, it's very hard to let it spiral out of control very quickly.
And just finally, we're not that far away from Christmas. Christmas, depending on family circumstances and the makeup of the family, can be incredibly expensive, and we don't want a situation where people are getting short-term loans, high interest loans, at the start of December. So can we contact MABS to sort of say, right, this is where I'm at, and can you help me plan for Christmas and meeting whatever needs or expectations might be there in the house? And I suppose maybe sometimes a reality check in there as well.
Yeah, so this is the 3-month alarm bell for Christmas, and people will think we're mad talking about Christmas when they've just got the children back to school. But very often we get asked about Christmas and budgeting for Christmas in December, when it's like 1, 2 or 3 weeks away, and your options are very limited at that stage. And that's why we're asking people this week to sit down and think about Christmas. And if you want to talk to an advisor on our helpline or one of our advisors in one of our office, we'll help you look at what can you realistically afford to put aside every week or every month over the next 3 months to make Christmas affordable, to avoid getting into debt for one day, because that's just not going to be that you'll end up in a cycle of debt if you end up getting into debt for Christmas. To avoid that scenario, let's see what's realistically affordable to spend on Christmas and how you can start putting that aside between now and then.
All right, yeah, exactly. And the people might think, well, I can't afford to put anything to one side. Well, let's have a look at your finances, because you might be able to. You could be, there's people with 50, 60 a month phone bills. There's no need for that in this day and age, in the SIM-only era. You can get everything that you need for $12.99. There's 40 quid a month in straight up. That's just one example. Carl, thank you so much for your time. Keep doing what you're doing there at MABS, MABS. They are free, they're independent, and they're controversial. Confidential. Thanks so much, Carl. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye. Back with more after the break.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
It's colourless, it's odorless, it's hard to detect. So carbon monoxide deserves your respect. It can kill you stone dead in just 3 minutes flat. And if you don't believe me, ask me dear Uncle Pat. Thanking you. Coal, tar, oil, gas, even wood, any fuel can harm. So get yourself a carbon monoxide alarm, or you might just wake up dead.
Planning a celebration? Discover the brand new Lily's Restaurant at the Mount Errigal Hotel. A stylish new space with beautiful surroundings and your own private bar. Perfect for birthdays, communions, anniversaries and more. Book now at Res Diary or call 074 912 2700.
I had problems with my knees for about 7-8 years. I think I'd give Kingsbridge 5 stars just because of the support and help that they gave me before and after the surgery. I was a public patient and the HSE reimbursed the cost.
Public patients in the Republic of Ireland can get rapid access to cross-border surgeries at Kingsbridge private hospitals in Belfast and Derry, with medical costs reimbursed by the HSE. Find out more at kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com/cross-border. Kingsbridge, your fast track to 5-star care. Terms and conditions apply.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhinney's. With new season styles arriving daily, discover the latest fashion, footwear and accessories for autumn in store or shop online at mcelhinney's.com today.
Let's have a look at the weather forecast. So it's going to turn drier and brighter as we head into the afternoon with sunny spells, very breezy with fresh and gusty southwesterly winds, strong near gale force. It's funny when some words are in a row, you just can't get your tongue around them. Strong or near gale force near west. It's not written brilliant either, is it? It's not my fault. Anyway, it's going to be windy along the coast. You know that anyway. But I thought I would tell you nonetheless. Right, thanks, by the way. Caller says, fair play for sharing your story, Greg. I don't really see it like that. I mean, I'm just I think I'm just a normal person. That was just my experience. I don't feel any shame in it. I made some bad decisions and I buried my head and all that kind of stuff. But I've been through much worse. It was a difficult old spell between the jigs and the reels, but there was also a lot of borrowing that went on during the Celtic Tiger as well. I mean, I would say there's like lawnmowers on my mortgage. Do you know what I mean? Do you know stupid short-term purchases that ended up when you were panicking and remortgaged and managed to find a company that might do that, even though you couldn't afford it? So, like, my mortgage is probably quite a lot of short-term borrowing, what should have been short-term borrowing on that cars that have been scrapped for 15 years. But anyway, that was of the time, and thankfully things have improved slightly. All right, we're going to be back with the news.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Get ready for the Donegal League at Brian McCormick Sports. BMC teamwear, mitre training or match balls. View the value packs online at bmcsports.ie. Training equipment, water bottles, have them delivered or call in store. Brian McCormick Sports, sponsor of Donegal League Premier Division.
Starting to think about what's next? Then don't miss Ulster University's Open Days this September. Visit us in Derry, Londonderry, Coleraine and Belfast to find out where a degree from Ulster could take you. Ulster combines a fantastic student experience with a focus on your future career. That's why we're named the UK and Ireland University of the Year 2024 by Times Higher Education Awards. Register now at ulster.ac.uk/Open Days.
Need somebody to love.
Are you excited about the Dream Sleep event beds?
Yeah, we're made up.
I bet you are. This week get 20% off all bed frames and divans when bought with a mattress. But hurry, offer ends Tuesday. Wow. Dreams. Love your bed.
For the biggest names in perfume and aftershaves, visit McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Dolce & Gabbana, Paco Rabanne, Carolina Herrera, Calvin Klein, Jimmy Choo and Burberry, Ariana Grande, Jean-Paul Gaultier, Vera Wang and many more. From timeless classics to celebrity favourites, there's a perfume or aftershave for everyone at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny and online at mcgees.ie.
Hi, Michael here from iMotors. I would like to invite you up to our used car sales event.
The big end of summer sales event with fantastic offers. Customers from all over the Northwest are coming. Over €200,000 in reductions. Plus, spin the wheel for cash and prizes with every purchase. September 13th to 21st. Don't miss out. Visit us at iMotors.
iMotors. Fearless generation.
with all the stories that matter across the Northwest. It's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
It's 11 o'clock, time for a news update, and it's good morning again to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Taoiseach says today is a hugely significant day for sanctions against Israel. The European Commission will present plans which could see sanctions placed on trade between Israel and Europe. Simon Harris says the effect of the measures could be extraordinarily impactful as Israel continues its offensive in Gaza. The trial of Soldier F continues at Belfast Crown Court today. The former British paratroopers charged with 2 murders and 5 attempted murders on Bloody Sunday in Derry over 50 years ago. He's pleaded not guilty. The €7 million allocated to transform the old Letterkenny courthouse has been described as a huge step forward for the town. Donegal County Council received the allocation today as part of a €90 million funding package announced under Thrive. It will see the iconic building transformed into a multifunctional education, entertainment and culture centre. Derry Chamber says it was deeply disappointed to learn of Kieran Kennedy's resignation from the Invest NI board. The Strabane man claimed there was an apparent discrimination against the North West region, which led to him stepping away. In a statement, Derry Chamber says it fears a £45 million regional balance fund may now be fragile. A Donegal man has been commended for risking his life to rescue a child in a crash in England. Shane Doherty from Carndonagh was one of 2 men who were first on the scene of the multi-vehicle collision on the M6 at T-Bay on October the 15th last year. The Gairloch of the Lifford-Stronora Municipal District says that since the rollout of new bus shelters became the responsibility of the road design team, there haven't been enough erected in the area. Councillor Patrick McGuyan says the long-promised new shelters haven't materialised along the N15. He says he was reassured at previous municipal district meetings that there would be progress, but nothing has happened. Lochswilly Ornalai is appealing to people to get their life jackets serviced. Of 461 life jackets inspected by the Ornalai, an alarming 61% failed. It's recommended that life jackets be serviced annually. And a burst water main is impacting parts of Inishowen this morning. Repairs are ongoing, which may cause supply disruptions in Ballyliffin, Carndonagh and surrounding areas. Works are scheduled to take place until 4 o'clock this afternoon. Mains repair works are also ongoing in Clay and Kildaff. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Thanks, Michaela.
Fancy fish tacos tonight? You'll catch some amazing prices at Aldi, that's for sure. The finest Irish breaded haddock goujons are just $2.99. Sour cream at just 89¢. Mixed chilies only 49¢. And 8 mini white tortilla wraps are just 85¢. That's an evening treat at amazing Aldi value, all wrapped up. Good food, good mood from Aldi, while stocks last.
Why don't you tell them workers to do that work at night when they can cut down a tree in the dark? Why can't they cut the grass at night when there's no traffic, says a listener. Another, this presidential election has not only been an undemocratic shambles since the start and would put to shame a corrupt Central African regime, it's nothing more than an exercise in how to elect one of the establishment's hand-picked boy or gal to the exclusion of any capable candidate whose face doesn't fit the government or media agenda. I always love this government media agenda thing. I would love to know what it is. This, I don't know, whatever about the government agenda, the media agenda. Hi, Greg. Just past Maclay's Corner there, and the crater is horrendous. I suspect there'll be an influx in claims for vehicle, wheel and suspension damage. Yes, that's Maclay's Crater for you, although it's Maclay's Corner Crater. Hi, Greg. I must commend Dunn Stores. Their toilets are immaculate indeed, but, you know, if you don't know that it's okay to go and use them, they aren't public toilets. That's a private business. This is the problem. Money shouldn't be transferable from non-critical projects to critical areas such as housing, healthcare, public toilets and the disastrous traffic situation in Letterkenny. Now, Breda O'Toole joins me on the programme now. Breda is author of Unseen, a memoir of trauma, Ireland's psychiatric system and a lifetime spent healing, co-written with clinical psychologist Dr. Tony Bates. Breda, good morning to you. How are you keeping?
I'm great, Greg, and thank you for having me on your show. It's an honour. It's a privilege.
Oh, no, the honour's ours. Come here, what's it like to have this book out there now? I mean, obviously you would have had, you know, you'd written it, you'd the advanced copy, and you've gone through all the editorial process, and It's been sent out for a few select people to read and all that journey. And now here we are where it's out there for general consumption. How does it feel?
It feels absolutely wonderful, believe it or not, despite the subject matter, because number one, this book has made sense of my whole entire life. I didn't know that the horrific experiences I lived through were leading to a book that now has the possibility of helping others. And I just see, it's just such a joy to be able to bring good out of bad.
Yes, and it was bad for you because this book gives an unflinching take on the mental health treatment in Ireland across several decades, and you can draw on your own personal experience from your memories, from your records, and it's hard to believe that we're in a situation whereby often the system worked against you and not in favour of you when you were there needing that support.
And I think that came about simply because I was treated for a mental illness, and they assumed that's what my problem was, and they duly went along that path and tried to fix that and tried to heal that, and it wasn't the root of my problem at all, and it's just such a shame, and that's why I love this opportunity now to speak out, because it's such a shame when you go looking for help, if you don't meet somebody who cares, who sees you, who wants to hear, who wants to explore. But what is it? What is it, Rita, that has you so extremely upset right now? I was never asked those important questions. And doctors, well-meaning, yes, but they thought they knew exactly what was wrong, that they knew how to deal with the problem. And as a result of that, I was misdiagnosed so many times, from manic depression to Parkinson's disease and a whole plethora of diagnoses in between. And there was no need for any of it. If they had just realized this person has gone through trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma.
But you're a person and you're a human, right? And, there's nature and nurture there. Were they ever really, until it was better, treating you as a person, as a human with lived experiences, with scars, or was it just, this behavior indicates that, let's try that, this behavior, you know what I mean? Like, it sounds to me like you were dehumanized, that you weren't treated as a person with life experiences, and that when you needed someone to hear your voice, no one was interested.
And nobody was there, and that only changed, Greg, when in 1995 I was blessed to meet a senior counselling clinical psychologist, and he respected me from the word go. He cared. Whatever I said to that man, he believed me. And that was the first time I was meeting that. And signs by, I took off on a whole new path, and I have never looked back since.
It's interesting because we were speaking in a completely different realm yesterday, but someone said very close to the same thing. We were talking about two incredible sisters here in Donegal that endured terrible abuse and were effectively given the runaround by the church. And there's a couple of important people to them, and it was people that listened to them and believed them. And they used sort of the same enthusiasm you did in your encounter, that you were seen, you were listened to, you were heard, you were recognised, you were humanised. Now, I'm not relating that part of this conversation to the sisters that we talked to, but you became sort of a person in that moment, not a quirk of medicine or something.
That's it. And whereas I had lived to 23 years under psychiatric care up to that point and experienced the direct opposite.
It's an oxymoron, though, that we treat people with trauma in a traumatizing environment or in traumatizing ways. That doesn't make sense. How could we have got it so wrong?
And that's what happened to me. I mean, I was coming from trauma. I landed in, so that the hospitals are named in the book, so it's no harm. I landed in St. Patrick's Institution, for example, in Dublin in 1972. And just the environment of that building alone, it was so prison-like, and antiquated buildings. And, and I went there as a voluntary patient. And the very next day, I realized just how much I was in the wrong place. And I had to get out of there for my sanity. I had to get out of there. And I went up to the nurse at the desk, and her cold clinical manner, you know, I just said, please, I want to go home. I want to be discharged. And she just looked at me callously and she said, nobody in this hospital would ever discharge you. And that was on the 5th, 6th of December that year. I wasn't discharged until the end, or until February the following year.
So your independence, your own personal power, decision making removed from you. How does that feel?
It's horrendous. You feel a nobody. You feel you don't count. You feel you haven't a voice. You feel that this towering authority is above you, and you just feel like a little mouse under it. It's terrible, Greg. It really is. It's horrific. And that wasn't the first time I met it.
Yeah, and I want to just ask you one question before we go back. Do you believe that we're talking about a historic situation in terms of the mental health services in this country? Have there been any improvements? In other words, do you believe what you endured through the system is currently happening or can happen into the future, or has there been some progression in that regard?
I would like to think it has improved, but the day before yesterday, I had an interview with Galway FM, and I was sitting there beforehand just waiting to go in, and this university student came in. We got talking, and she said to me, she welled up and she said to me, Breda, my closest friend, her sister, died by suicide last Tuesday week. She was 25. Greg, everything in me wanted to shout out, this has to stop. I came out of the interview with Galway Bay, and I was heading towards the door to let myself out. Another woman in her 50s crossed my path and said, can I please talk to you? And I said, sure. And she said, my husband is up there in that psychiatric hospital, has been there for the last 6 weeks. All they're doing is medicating him and medicating him and medicating him. She said he suffers from panic attacks.
Yeah.
And as that lady began to tell me a bit about his life, the panic attacks made sense. And then what horrified me altogether was she said there's only one psychologist up in that hospital. One. Now, I could think one psychologist for so many people, and yet it was one psychologist that saved me. And then she said, and there's no occupational therapy there. I said, what? And she said, when I complained and said, could somebody not bring him for a short walk even? The answer I got back was, that's up to you to come in and do it if you want to.
Yeah.
And she looked at me, and with absolute anguish written all over that woman's face. And she said to me, I have 2 children at home, she said. I'm trying to hold down a job. I'm trying to keep the house going, she said. And, you know, my heart broke for her. It really did.
How do you tell your story in the book? Because, you know, these interviews are difficult because so much of you, your life, your experiences are in this book. And I don't want to do that any disservice, but then I realize you could never do your life story and this work the justice that it deserves either. Okay, so it's one of those difficult situations. So just you as an author, if you could explain to the listeners the story you tell and how you tell it, in terms of, you know, maybe what led you, the trauma that led to you needing assistance, and then the terrible way you were treated in the system. So just how would you sort of frame all of that, Breda, for the potential reader?
So I think about 2 arrows. And the first arrow would relate to my childhood. And for example, I was born in 1949. That was post-World War II. I was born into poverty, into neglect, into alcoholism, physical abuse, and sexual abuse later on. During my mid-teens, I escaped and I entered a convent. But there I was subjected to 3 years of a life of silence. not great for a young teenager.
Very bad, very
I
bad.
was there from when I was 15 until I was 18. Moving on then, I have 5 beautiful daughters still alive. I have 12 beautiful, adorable grandchildren, but I did lose 3 sons as babies.
Wow.
And that grief was never, ever addressed in the psychiatric system, because everything was put down to a chemical imbalance in my brain.
Yeah.
And yet my heart was broken. And I know from talking to people, even over the last 3 weeks, even since, I met my Dublin book launch was last Thursday week, and coming down on the train, there was a woman opposite me, and she began talking to me, and she said, I've been on medication for anxiety and depression for the last 20 years, but I know, she said, what's at the root of that. And I looked at her and she said, it was the miscarriage I had back then.
Which, with the right expertise, is something that you should be able to work through. And what's upsetting is that you did seek help. You did the right thing. You entered the mental health system seeking help. And we've touched on it, the misdiagnoses, medicating you to effectively keep you quiet, I would imagine, because if you can't hear your problems, they aren't problems, are they? Binding you in a straitjacket for 11 days. Imagine what that must feel. 29 rounds of electroconvulsive therapy. This across decades and decades. Breda, how did you keep any of yourself in that? You know, how was any of you left so that when you had that conversation with that gentleman that you referenced earlier, that there was something there to bring it back? Do you get where I'm coming from? What strength must you have to have been to retain enough of you that you could be saved, if I could put it like that? And I know it's an onward journey, don't get me wrong, but you must have a natural, huge strength within you.
So can I bring you back to when I was in the straitjacket in St. Bridget's Hospital in Ballinasloe? So 11 days in that straitjacket, but somewhere in the middle of that, I was lying there one afternoon, and my eyes closed. I was in zombie land because they were drugging me intravenously against my will. But I had a moment of clarity, and I suddenly felt deep within me, and I suddenly knew, wow, there's a part of me that can never, ever be destroyed, no matter what other people are doing to me. And I have hung on to that ever since. You know, I believe that with a passion, because you can't be in a straitjacket and have an experience like that and forget about it, or not mean a huge amount. So that would have been where I got a certain amount of strength from, and I still hold on to that today. You know,
it's amazing,
because I still struggle today, and I hold on to that. You know,
you take us through that trauma and the decades of mistreatment when, you know, all you needed was help, and then of course, you know, that intervention that has set us on the pathway to today. Is it a story, whilst highlighting the deficiencies, also might give people hope? Because if you can come back from the depths of where you are, and when you were in the deepest of the depths, instead of a hand being reached out for you, it was something really quite the opposite, and that you can come back and be doing a tour and chatting to different radio stations and all, then do you hope people read this and it gives them a sense of hope as well, that, you know, that most things can be overcome?
Now, when I was writing the book, I actually went for a walk in the forest one day down near Galway, a forest that's near my daughter's home. And I said, why do I want to write this book? I asked myself that question. And the answer just came back so clear to me. I want this book to give others courage. Courage and hope. Because yes, I should be dead on so many counts, but look at me, I'm still alive and still going. I'm here enjoying. I'm at the peak of my life now. You know, what person at 76 has just published her first book? You know, I'm still teaching the piano. I love gardening. I've a beautiful family all around me. I actually compared Tommy during my book launch to the trunk of a tree. and where all the branches, they cling to that trunk of the tree, but they still remain independent and strong. And that to me is my family. You know, my daughters, my son-in-laws, they're all but Tommy is the trunk of that tree. And so I'm just in a very, very happy place at the moment.
And I'm so pleased about that. But there surely must have been extreme bitterness and anger with so much of your life being taken from you. And there's two things going on here almost at the same time. There's obviously times where you are, functioning in your mum and you have those positive experiences. And then this other sort of dual time where all of this horribleness is happening to you. Do you feel you have been robbed? Did you feel anger or bitterness or whatever emotions that might be? And did you have to work through those, or did that ease through the recovery, or are they still there, or what? I asked the question, Brady, because you haven't stopped smiling even, this whole interview, and you can see that you're a lovely, positive person. You know what I mean? So that's why I feel forced to ask that question.
So I can easily answer it, Greg. So when Tony Bates now has walked with me, Dr. Tony Bates, he walked step by step with me through the whole process of bringing this book to Gill Publishers. It took 4 years. And when I never forget the day that he said to me, Breda, this book isn't about helping others, because that was my motivation. And he said, this book is about your healing. And I shot back at him and I said, but I am healed. Look at me, I'm going around, I'm fine, I'm teaching piano, family, blah. Well, Greg, little did I know, when I started working on those early chapters, oh my God, I began to feel feelings of anger, of rage. I remember I just sent him a quick, how do you deal with rage? I didn't know what was happening to me, what was going on with me. I woke up another night in the middle of the night, and the rage I felt towards my parents was just horrendous. And I was caught between two worlds. You're supposed to love your parents, you're supposed to honor them, you're supposed to, how could I be feeling this rage? But all I could see was how could, and it's the stories in the book, how could anyone, like my father, I suffered cruel beatings at his hands because he was traumatized from World War II and that. But I was just saying, how could any parent do that to a child? So that rage was just very real and raw. And it took me a good few days to work through it. But I was blessed that Tony Bates gave me ways and means of dealing with that anger, dealing with that rage. And I covered that in the book.
And I think there's lots of people maybe need to go on their own healing journey and might be able to do that through you, even if every experience that you experienced is not directly relatable. The emotions that we talk of are, cross issue. Breda, listen, I'm delighted you are where you're at, and I'm so sorry that you had to go through everything that you've had to go through. And it's obvious that you and Tony Bates have an incredibly good relation. He was still treating you right whilst he's trying to make you write a book, and you half convinced it was for other people. So he must know you inside out. And it sounds like a wonderful partnership. And the results of that is this book. It's called Unseen, and it's a memoir of trauma, Ireland's psychiatric system, and a lifelong spent healing. And healing is an important word there. Thank you so much, Breda. And I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased you seem to be in such a great space and doing the things that you love and having your loving family around you. Thank you so much.
And it's been such a joy to meet you, Greg.
Bye-bye, you too. Okay, Breda O'Toole there, Unseen. Check it out. It's got a picture of a young girl staring out through a window, just in case you're not watching and want to pick up a copy of that. All right, back with more after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Running a business isn't easy, but accessing support should be. The new National Enterprise Hub is the single source for all government support for your business. With over 180 supports in one place, it's easier than ever to find grants, advice, training and more. And don't worry about not knowing what you need. Our helpful team will guide you every step of the way. Visit neh.gov.ie to learn how we can help. The National Enterprise Hub. Support starts here, an initiative of the Government of Ireland.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold! And ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
Mother, friend, colleague, taxi driver, chef, dog walker. It's a lot to juggle. My secret? OptiBac, Ireland's most recommended friendly bacteria supplements. Whether it's a capsule for women's well-being or a tasty gummy for gut and immune health. Get 20% off selected favourites in store today. Feel good and opt for OptiBac.
It's Patrick Feeney here, and I'm looking forward to the Highland Radio Country Music Weekend at the Clanry Hotel in Letterkenny this October the 31st and November the 1st. I'll be on stage along with Michael English, David James, Stacey Breen and Jordan McBoden. It's going to be 2 fantastic nights of music and dancing, but spaces are filling fast, so book now at theclanryhotel.com or highlandradio.com.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
Welcome back at 26 minutes past 11, and Chris Ashmore joins me in studio now for Business Matters. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning, Craig.
How are we getting on?
Very good. Nice day out
now,
there.
Before we get to the business news, before we get to the podcast, you did an awful teaser saying that you've got a bit of advice for us. Chris's travel tip of the day in very infrequent series.
Indeed. No, something I came across, this may be of interest to listeners. I was booking online for a flight from Belfast, as quite a lot of people do. And so you get to the payment time, and the flight was with the sterling price, and you get the option at the end. You can convert it to euro or sterling. So anyway, it was with Ryanair. Different airlines do similar things, and so I go to pay it, and if I pay it in sterling, which is the price that's displayed, I am, and I read the small print, I am given the fixed rate that Ryanair are offering, which was £1 sterling was equal to €1.23, and they say, if you can, of course, do this yourself and go for euro, your bank will charge you. If I went for the euro option, my bank that I'm paying through the credit card or debit card will charge me the rate on the day. And in some cases, you may be charged more by your bank. Now, the rate is about 17, 18, so they're actually making about 5 cents extra, and a lot of people don't realise this. So with Ryanair, obviously that's another little extra source of revenue. So you are better to pay.
Now that's potentially an infrequent purchase, which is very, very good advice. But Amazon, where people might pay more regularly, do the exact same thing. So it's a guaranteed exchange rate, which, as you say, is 5 or 6 cents above hand. So I always click pay in euro.
Exactly.
Because in this day and age, there's no costs if you do it whichever bank. Good advice, good tip. And as I say, definitely with Ryanair and other airlines, but Amazon do it with every transaction. And if you buy something for 200 quid, it makes a big difference over the course of it, right? And it's just giving these big corporations money these days.
And while we're on it, another bugbear, the car insurance. If you pay up front, it's grand. If you pay in installments, you end up paying maybe 20% more.
Again, sorry, Chris, you keep talking about stuff I've got an opinion on, which is everything, it seems. That's fine. They're private companies. I accept that, right? It's in the T's and C's. We should know that.
We should know that.
Let's discuss road tax. That's from the government.
Yes.
That's from our own government. Yes. And in this day and age, no one's handwriting anything. If you have a car that you don't know will last a year, or the tax is very expensive, and you say, right, I'm going to do it 3 months at a time, they absolutely fleece you. The state fleeces you for paying in, and it's the most poor, the less resources. You know, someone who can pay it off a year, your car tax, no problem, right? But if you're struggling to make ends meet and say, right, I'll do 3 months now, and then we'll get Christmas out the way, and then I'll do another 3. You get charged extra for that. It's an absolute disgrace. And I think that is in the gift of the government to stop punishing people with old cars, with low incomes, in extra additional interest for no reason. There's no reason for it. It's a tiny little slip of paper. And they're getting rid of the tax disc soon anyway. But I guarantee you they'll still shaft us on that. So whatever about Ryanair angry, Amazon angry, car insurance angry, I'm furious that the government, the state, who we employ and work for us, are shafting us in car tax, Chris. Why did you make me angry? I'm hangry, I haven't eaten, and now I'm angry again.
Oh dear. Right, we'll start again.
No, it's good. You know, I heard one opposition party TD mention this once, but someone should get that changed. You know, we're getting shafted every which way, and there's no need for the government to be charging us extra for taking out tax over a shorter period of time, because you know, like my 09 X-Trail's due to be taxed, right? I can't afford to tax it for a year. It's like 800 to 900 quid, and I know I'm killing the environment. Shoot me, but you know, who's got 800 to 900 quid lying around? So I'm going to have to do it for 3 months or 6. I did it for 6 the last time, but I'm going to have to pay extra for that because I can't afford the 12.
Yeah, and also people who are maybe thinking of changing their car, they're in the same boat as well, because they're thinking, you know, I don't want to spend a year, I'll go 6 months, but I'm being penalised.
But I recognise that, exactly, but I recognise there's a lot of people, you know, who won't have to consider that because they can take the hit.
Yeah.
You know, but for others, where you're trying to make money go as far as it possibly can, the private companies do my head in, but the state doing it, that's just, to me, is completely utterly unacceptable. And in other business news...
And in other businesses, where do we begin?
With a new, talking about sustainable transport initiatives. What's this about?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this, was launched earlier this month. It's it's got the backing of a number of people behind it. It's a it's a hub, an energy hub here in Letterkenny, where you can go. It's called a Robust E-Mobility Hub. And you have Donegal County Council, Atlantic Technology University, Trinity College Dublin, the ESB and Enterprise Car Club. They're doing this in different places around Europe. So down behind the AIB Bank, for those who know where it is in Letterkenny, the car park in there, there'll be 2 shared electric vehicles. Now, I'll explain a little bit more. There'll be an e-cargo bike, which has a little bit of capacity to move things along, and 4 e-bikes. And you'll be able to go online, book them for an hour or book them for a day. Maybe some savvy businesses might see this as a good little publicity stunt. Also a chance for you to try out these vehicles as well.
Do you have to drop them back off there as well?
Yeah, there's an app.
Of course we're going to do things arseways here. Right, okay.
But it's at the early stages. I'm going to do it, Greg. I'll come back to you and tell you hands-on experience.
Stay off the blooming footpath, but yeah, please do. All right, so that's the Robust E-Mobility Hub, well hidden there in behind AIB. Okay, we'll see how maybe it catches on. Right, now, there's always been a struggle with hiring and retention of staff in the tourism hospitality industry, but inroads are being made in that regard?
Yes, there's been a survey carried out. The Irish Hotels Federation have welcomed this survey by Fulcher Ireland. It's the 2025 Tourism Careers Labour Market Research Survey. Some interesting findings. Firstly, employee sentiment has increased significantly, with 86% of people surveyed seeing tourism as a long-term career. Now, that's up from 71% in 2021. So it's not just the summer job. There's a career path there. Also, the number of employers who were finding it hard to hire people, there's been a big improvement there. Not as hard to get people for accommodation services, bars, waiters, waitresses. The big area, though, that has been a stumbling block, there is an ongoing problem recruiting chefs. Half of the hospitality businesses still reporting difficulty in filling those positions. So if you are an aspiring chef, plenty of work out there.
Rightio. Donegal Tech Advocates Group. There's an event coming up for them. Talk to me about that.
Yes, now this is a group that was set up through the County Council, bringing on board people in the tech sector, all about sharing ideas, networking. They have a keynote speaker, Andrea Wade, who's been, she spent around 20 years mentoring and supporting tech startups right across the country. So there's an event on next Thursday, and that's the 25th of September, and it's been held in the Kinniger Brewery here in Letterkenny. It's from 5 to 8 o'clock, and certainly go along to that.
Yep, Donegal Tourism out trying to drum up business.
Yes, whilst online is obviously still huge, hard to beat the person-to-person interaction, and the old traditional holiday world shows. Still a great way of showcasing the county. There's ones coming up just after Christmas in Dublin and Belfast. Donegal Tourism will have a strong presence there. There's been a strong interest from those in the tourist sector there who will be going up to publicise and hopefully get bookings early on in the year.
All right, and some good news for 20 businesses.
Yes, latest figures showing 20 businesses have received more than €400,000 in grant aid. So these are a lot of small grants from the local enterprise office here in the county, geared really towards startups, small businesses, many of them self-employed. So that's encouraging to see that there's a continuous flow of new businesses coming on board on stream, and over 750 people have taken part in more than 30 courses organised by the local enterprise office up to the end of August.
Thank you very much indeed, Chris. Stay right where you are, because we're going to be previewing this week's Business Matters podcast with Chris after we take a quick break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Fill more salad bowls for less with these Lidl Plus Super Savers. Pick fresh scallions, 44% off, now 49 cent. Add juicy salad tomatoes, 38% off, just 79 cent. And we've shredded 48% off crisp iceberg lettuce, only 59 cent. Simply scan, pay and save with Lidl Plus.
Meet Louise. She made big savings on her car insurance when she made the switch to Outsurance.
Hi, I'm Louise. It's true, I saved €212 when I made the switch. And with the Out bonus, I'll get 10% of my premiums back in cash after 3 years claim-free.
Happy days. For a competitive car insurance quote like Louise's, call 1-800-600-400 or visit outsurance.ie. Real people, unreal savings. Outsurance. You always get something out. Based on a like-for-like policy comparison, the customer received a gratuity for their participation. Out bonus calculated less taxes and levies. Acceptance criteria, terms and conditions apply. Car and home insurance is underwritten by Outsurance DAC. Outsurance DAC, trading as Outsurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Sometimes it's just bad luck, but sometimes it's negligence. From minor bumps to life-changing injury, every accident has a story. Time to call McElhenney and Associates. They'll assess the situation, advise on solutions, and lead the way if any litigation is to follow. From motor accidents and workplace accidents to slips, trips and falls, call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. Let's get you started on the road to recovery. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. How can we help? In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
As a parent, you always remember the little things, but don't forget the bigger ones. When it comes to child safeguarding, do you know who to speak to in your child's school and clubs?
Under Children First, all organisations working with children and young people need to have strong measures in place to safeguard children. To learn more about Children First, visit gov.ie/Children First.
We were all children once. Now we are Children First. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Okay, we're back with Chris Ashmore. That last ad, Caroline, that last ad has got a fault on it. Maybe you want to mention it to production. I'm in studio with Chris Ashmore here. We're going to get to business news, but someone was saying, Greg, what do you mean? You said you can get your SIM-only deals for $12.99 a month. What I would suggest anyone does, and this comes into the business side of things as well, and I want to be really clear on this. You know, say, for instance, your Samsung SE... Say your Samsung SE25 at the moment is probably £700 or £800. You can get a light version of it, £500 or £600. You can get a phone on Amazon. I mentioned Amazon, or in one of your local stores for that's got almost there in terms of its capabilities. And I use my phone for work. Cameras maybe not as fantastic, right? But a lot of those Samsung phones and the iPhones, you know, they zoom into the moon, and it's artificial intelligence, and the zoom isn't really all that it claims to be. But you can get an equally equipped phone, and often with a longer battery, for 200 or 300 quid, which is a considered purchase in itself. But if you think that you're tying yourself into an 18-month or 2-year contract for a mobile phone, and that phone's out of date in a year, right, but you still got another year to go on the contract, so you're paying 50, 60, 70 quid for this, and it's unlimited this, that and done. If you would even go to the credit union and get a loan for a budget mid-range phone and then switch to your SIM-only deals, you could save an absolute fortune. And then, of course, you can switch between the SIM-only deals because that phone then is not locked to which is crazy, right? They lock it to the company that you've just entered a 1 or 2 year contract with, or 18-month contract. Now, if you're going for a SIM-only deal, right, you need to see what the piggyback service is. So say, for instance, 48 Mobile's got a $10.99 a month plan. There's 100 gig of data, which is tons, 5,000 texts a minute, which you will never use because no one rings anymore. But that's on the 3 network. So then you have Clear Mobile. They piggyback on the Vodafone network. So if you've got good Vodafone coverage at home and you say, well, I don't want to leave Vodafone, well, you can go to Clear Mobile. It's $12.99 a month, but it uses the Vodafone network as well. 5 gig data, unlimited minutes, 10,000 texts. If you're sending 10,000 texts, you're a scammer. So Sky Mobile, they're on the Vodafone network as well. Unlimited data, unlimited text a minutes. It's $12.99. On Post have a deal, $12.99. They've got a 50 gig data limit for some reason on that one. Virgin, they do an unlimited data deal. They're using the 3 network. So if where you live, the 3 network is what's strong, then that's the one that you want to be going on. For example, Go Mobile, they're on the Air network. They're unlimited across the board, 5 gig of data, $14.99 a month. And there are others as well. But so check out the SIM-only deals, but check what the piggyback network is, so that, in other words, if you've got good 3 service in your house, good Vodafone network in your house, then go to one of the SIM-only deals that piggybacks on that network, and that means you get a continuance of the service that you have. So rather than paying and creasing yourself with 50, 60, 70 quid a month, pitch out on a mid-range phone, which does the exact same as the other phones do. And I say that as someone who's technically pretty competent, except maybe the camera. I'll concede the camera, but everything else is often as good. They use the same chips and what have you. And just pay unlimited $10.99 a month or what have you. If you've no broadband at home, get yourself a mobile router and stick one of those SIMs in and have broadband at home as well. There's lots of options for you. Anyway, I think I can squeeze that in there because it's kind of business related, and I mentioned enough companies there that I'm not discriminated against any. Chris, have you anything you want to any oars you want to shove in there?
Well, just to add to the SIM only, also just do check some of them, as far as I am aware, won't have the same EU roaming as you would if you're travelling outside the country.
Well,
you could have issues there.
I come with receipts, Chris, and I think what you're talking is inaccurate. And I'll give you the deets. No, you're not. It's not unlimited. But say for the 48 mobile plan, you've got 17 gig of EU roaming. For Clear Mobile, 19 gig. For the Sky Mobile plan, which is $12.99, unlimited EU roaming. On Post Mobile, 25 gig of roaming. Now, if you watch an episode of Netflix, it's going to take about 750 megabytes for an hour. So that'll give you an idea of how much you have. Virgin Mobile gives you 32 gig. GoMo, 19 gig. And on Post Mobile, 25 gig as well. So there are some unlimited. So if roaming was a big deal for you, Chris, there is one there that's got unlimited. Which is it now? I mentioned it. Anyway, one of them's got unlimited. But other than that, a lot of them, Sky Mobile plan, it's unlimited data, unlimited text and minutes. It's 5G data, unlimited EU roaming, and that's $12.99 on the Vodafone network, right? So, as I say,
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah,
looks
but
good.
it's a very valid point.
Yeah.
And if you are out firing quite a bit, you probably want to check that. That being said, at this point, 99% of the time, firstly, I'm not calling or texting SMS, and I'm on Wi-Fi one place or other. And nowadays, it's not so hard to get Wi-Fi as it once. Do you remember, it was a big selling point, or you could buy Wi-Fi in a hotel?
Now everywhere.
Oh, God. Right, now, let's get back to the Business Matters podcast, which is live today, will be shortly. And this is focusing really, I suppose, about one of our great products, and that's great food.
Absolutely. Donegal, without doubt, has a growing reputation for producing great food and indeed drink products as well. And coming up next month, we have the final of the Blas na Heron. These are the Irish Food Taste Awards down in Dingle in Kerry. It's a really big occasion, and it's going 18 years now. People may be familiar with the little labels on certain products. You can be a bronze, silver or gold winner. More than 3,000 entries from all over the country, and 14 from Donegal have been shortlisted for the finals on the 3rd of October. So that's a record number from this county. So it really shows just how Donegal is going so well in this regard. A lot of small enterprises, often maybe just one person. So to find out more about Food Coast Donegal, which is an initiative really to drive this sector forward, and also about the Donegal finalists, I've been speaking with Lindsay Reynolds, who is the project facilitator at Food Coast Donegal.
I'm the project facilitator with Food Coast Donegal, which is a member-led network based here in County Donegal, and we represent anyone who's working in the food business. So we represent the producers, the hospitality businesses, retailers and food experiences, and anyone who's working in that sector. And what we do is we have a goal, which is we want to make Donegal's food culture something that everyone can see, taste and be proud of. So we really want to support and grow Donegal's food economy by connecting the producers and the businesses and promoting local sourcing and celebrating the people and the products that make our region unique. So there's an awful lot of activity in the food sector here in Donegal, and it isn't necessarily a place that's known for its food culture, but you can see from this year's Blas finalists, like we've had 14 people in that in those finals, which is a record for the county. And it's really underlying the county's reputation as a food destination.
Huge diversity in there too, Chris, in terms of what companies are out there producing.
Yeah, just by way of example, there's a company, Donegal Sea Salt. So they are now harvesting and making salt that's sun-dried, no chemicals at all. And I haven't tasted it yet, but apparently there's a real punch to the taste compared to with your normal table salt that you'd be more familiar with.
Don't they?
Yeah.
Chefs use sea salt.
And then we have Delight's Little Mama's Gelato in Donegal Town, Wild Berry Cheesecake. That's one of the finalists there.
I'm
lots
just going to say this
things.
at this point. If any of you want me to test any of your products, I think I can do. Caroline, can I do that? I'll be honest. Yes, I'm starving. Can you get me that cheesecake within 3 minutes? But listen, there's great things ongoing, brilliant people, and a lot of it we're learning for the first time through your program as well, Chris, which I think is great. Thanks so much for calling in. The Business Matters podcast live for you very shortly on our website in the listen back section. So you can tune into it whenever you wish. And if you want to contact Chris, maybe it's something you want to feature or a bit of further information or whatever it might be. Chris, how do people email you?
Best way is the email, and it's business.
When you say the best way, do you answer phone calls?
Well, it's
the only way, isn't it?
Yeah, it's probably the only way.
Only way is businessmatters@islandradio.com.
You know it, yeah.
And if we want to listen to the show on the radio,
yes, it will be on after the 6 o'clock news on Sunday.
I bid you adieu until next Wednesday. That's Chris Ashmore, folks.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
At Uisce Éireann, we're upgrading Ireland's water network to ensure a clean, safe and reliable supply for everyone. Sometimes this work can be disruptive. That's why we have a free text alert service providing real-time updates on outages and planned works over 4 hours in your area. So far, over 250,000 people have signed up. Join them and stay informed. Sign up today with your mobile number and air code at water.ie. Uisce Éireann, delivering water services for Ireland.
We know we've a lot to get through. Searching for low prices shouldn't be one of them. That's why Screwfix check prices daily on over 1,000 essentials and basics. Screwfix, low price, checked.
Ah, that's the sound of Caller, of cosy movie nights in, shove over, of the post-match get the cold out of your showers, a fry-up on a Sunday morning. It's the sound of homes running on easy, efficient energy. And right now, homes not on the gas network can get a free boiler by switching from oil to Calor gas for their home energy and heating. So every day sounds a little more like this. Nice and toasty in here. Calor, the energy that connects us. Terms and conditions apply. See calorgas.ie for details.
All around Ireland, ordinary people are doing amazing things every single day with Return. Charities, clubs and organisations are fundraising for causes big and small to benefit their communities. They're turning empty bottles and cans into everything from football kits to park benches, playground equipment to men's sheds, and food bank donations to defibrillators. It's never been easier to get involved and do something good for your community. So come and join the thousands of initiatives using Return for Good at return.ie.
As the days get shorter, the kids get back to school, and we start to make our homes a little cosier. We're all looking for smarter ways to save. Electric Ireland can help get you there. Switch to our best smart meter plan and save up to 30%. Visit electricireland.ie. EAB €1,199 based on 12-month home electric plus SST saver electricity. Discounted unit rates with online billing, direct debit and VAT. Smart meter required. Subject to change. T's and C's apply.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhinney's. With new season styles arriving daily, discover the latest fashion, footwear and accessories for autumn in store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
Oh, say so. Okay, so it's going to brighten up as we head into the afternoon with some sunny spells and temperatures around the mid-teens. Don't forget there's going to be quite a breeze on our coast. Victoria Spillane is Chief Operations Officer at Crohn's and Colitis Ireland. And we want to just take a short opportunity to remind people of this condition. I think those... I suppose that have it to hear other people talking about it, but also maybe to catch those who are living with it and maybe not fully aware. Good morning, Victoria.
Good morning, Greg. How are we?
I am good. Shall we just outline what this is? Because there's a sort of an umbrella, isn't there? And within that, there are a number of various conditions with the commonality that it affects the digestive system and the bowel.
There is indeed, and it's something where people would say, what is this? So as you correctly said, inflammatory bowel disease is an umbrella term, and underneath it you have Crohn's disease, which affects any part of the digestive tract from the mouth down to the back passage. You've ulcerative colitis, which is just localized to the large intestine. And then there's also microscopic colitis, which can only be seen under a microscope, basically. So that can go undetected very easily. And then you have what they call Crohn's colitis, which is Crohn's disease of the large intestine. But it's basically very, very similar symptoms. And as I always say, Greg, we're all the same but different.
Yeah.
You know, and us IBD warriors, we know what it's like to live with this very debilitating illness. It's chronic, it's lifelong, there's no cure for it. And it's a case of it is incredibly difficult to live with at times.
Yeah, because that's not just, the physical consequences of that, how it might impact your life, how it may, it goes beyond that, doesn't it, in terms of its impact on every aspect of life outside the physical and the symptomatic elements of it.
It absolutely does. You've got, obviously, as we said, we've got the physical element of it, but we also have the mental side of things, which I think, at Crohn's Colitis Ireland, we're always advocating for more supports. And I think because IBD doesn't discriminate against any age, genders, anything like that. I was diagnosed 27 years ago when I was 13. And when I was diagnosed back then, it was the case of what is this thing you have? Whereas now nearly every second person is impacted, whether it's themselves, family member, a neighbour, a friend of a friend. People have heard of it. They may not understand it, but they've heard of it. So the IBD community is growing. But just take away even the mental side of things, the mental health element, it's the financial burden as well that people actually have to bear living with this.
Yeah. What supports are there for people, though? Because, there could be a large number of individuals that feel that this is only they that are affected that way with the financial side of stuff. I'm feeling depressed. My mood is depressed. I've got anxiety. Is it to do with IBD? Is it not? But I feel alone one way or other. So in the last couple of moments, are there supports there for people, Victoria?
but not as much as we would like,
Okay.
to be honest. Okay, and that's just being very upfront. To be honest, we done a big report with Johnson & Johnson earlier this year and around the hidden costs of living with inflammatory bowel disease in Ireland. And it's all part of our advocacy that we constantly do. We're knocking down doors. I always kind of joke my email and my phone number will probably be blocked from places. It's just trying to fight the good and the hard fight. The support's aren't there. I mean, at the end of the day, Greg, inflammatory bowel disease is a chronic lifelong condition. As I said, there's no cure. It's not going anywhere. There is the report that we done. It stated that there was 60% of people with IBD in Ireland actually facing financial hardship due to the cost of managing their condition.
Wow.
Right. 47% of people have actually avoided seeking necessary medical care, which is a lot. And 26% of people have actually delayed taking medication because they can't. We're not on the long-term illness scheme.
Yeah. We often talk about, you know, heat before eat and stuff like that. You know, we're seeing that obviously then in people with their medical decisions, having to take those decisions, and the ramifications are huge. If people want to get more information about the supports that are there, maybe even join in advocacy, get more information and contact TDs, etc., or indeed get more information on that Johnson & Johnson study that you did in association with, where's the best place for people to go, Victoria?
They can contact us directly, okay? As I say, Crohn's Colitis Ireland, we're a small but mighty team. We don't receive any government or HSE funding. We have to rely on grassroots funding and, you know, some other good partners. But we're small but mighty, but they can contact us anytime, Greg. info@crohnscolitis.ie. They can email in. They can contact me directly as well, victoria@crohnscolitis.ie. That's no problem whatsoever. And we also have our helpline. The helpline is actually there, and it's there three mornings a week. And it's 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. and it's just 015312983. Everything's on the website, crohnscolitis.ie. People can contact anytime. We would love people to get involved with advocacy. We need better supports. We need better multidisciplinary teams. We need better financial
And there's so
support.
many people affected that if they come together, those things may well be achievable. For now, though, thank you so very much, Victoria. That's Victoria Spillane, Chief Operations Officer Interim at Crohn's and Colitis Ireland. I'm going to leave on this message. Hi, Greg. My name is Fiona, and I just would like to say how incredibly proud I am of my mum, Breda O'Toole. We are blessed to be part of her family, and we are all surrounding her by her love, and we're all surrounded by her love. Thank you for listening to her story. It was my pleasure, and I'm proud of her too, and I don't know why. I just feel that she's an amazing lady. Hey, everyone, have a fantastic